Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week or every couple weeks. You know the drill.
Whenever
My name
we
is
get
Colton
around
Brown,
to
and joining me is Andrew Meadows. You heard him just now. It's Andrew Meadows. Come on, he's here. Give it up for the man. Give it up for the man.
I am here, and so are you, sir.
Yep. It's the two of us
It's
here.
been a hellacious end of the summertime.
Yeah, busy. Definitely busy. I think we talked the last episode about switching to a more infrequent recording schedule, and so far we've maintained that promise, although
That's it.
I think we wanted to do another episode kind of in between Hobbs and Shaw and this particular episode that we're recording on now, but yeah, we're busy. It was hard to manage, so what's going to happen now is this is going to be a pretty long episode. I think we should go ahead. We could probably make that statement now. We haven't recorded, obviously. We don't know how long it's going to be. And the people listening are going to be like, oh my God, 4 hours when they look at the file size. But, we'll try to keep it as tight as possible. But we've got a lot to cover because we're talking about a pretty big movie by the name of It Chapter 2. And we got a lot of catch-up to do on the news front. Disney's D23 Expo happened about a couple weeks ago now. We deliberately decided to not talk about that when we talked about Hobbs and Shaw because we were a little short on time. And we haven't had a chance to talk about it at all. And there's a lot of goodies kind of within that expo that happened that we really do need to talk about. And of course, there's just the general news that's happened. So a lot on our plate for this episode, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And guess what? We're not doing it alone. We've got a third guest coming in. You ready for this? You ready for our special guest? I'm springing it on you. You don't even know who's going to be here.
I don't. Who is it? Who could it be?
Pennywise, the dancing clown. I've made my long-awaited return to Watch, Review, Repeat.
Gee, Pennywise!
Wait, Georgie? Are we going to have four people on this episode? We got Georgie back too? What?
We might have ready four people.
Well, it might. I don't know if that's actually Georgie though. I mean, I think that might just be Pennywise taking on a different form. He's
like that.
Yeah, you'll float too. You'll float too. Yeah. Pennywise, thanks for hanging out with us as well. He might chime in from time to time, but I think it's going to be the two of us mostly. Carrying the torch on this episode. So it's been a little while since we've convened for Hobbs and Shaw, still the greatest movie of all time. Although maybe it was supplanted by the movie we're talking about today. We'll have to get into that shortly. Do you have a fun fact ready to go about Chapter 2?
I do not. I figure, we've been away it seems like we've been away for like 3 weeks, but it's been away for a while.
I think it's probably been right about 2 weeks, if I had to guess, from like recording time to recording time. Maybe 2.5, somewhere. Yeah, but it's definitely been a lot more infrequent than what we're accustomed to.
So anyways, I figure we would return from our hiatus and I could hand the torch to you for the fun fact.
Oh, well, that presumes that I have a fun fact ready to go, and well, you'd be right, sir. I do indeed.
Of course you do. Always prepared.
So yeah, my fun fact's kind of interesting. I suppose it's a little fun, you might even say. So there's a thing in it within the book, within the two movies, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, about how it comes back every 27 years. In Derry, Maine, right? Isn't that's kind of the whole central conceit of it, is that the terror returns, and that's kind of the idea behind this movie, is that, it came for them when they were kids, and now it's back when they're adults. That's the thing, right? So 27 years, that's something, the number 27, I want you to hold on to that little figure, because I'm going to throw some more numbers at you, and then we'll work through those numbers together and see what exactly happens with them. So It Chapter 1 came out September 8th of 2017. I want you to hold on to that number for just a second. It Chapter 2 came out on September 6th of 2019. Now you're thinking, what's the connection here, right? Is that your thought process right now?
I immediately jumped to that. Yes. Okay.
You're like, what the fuck's going on here? What are you on? I'll tell you what I'm on. Take the digits for each date. Take them separately right now. So September 8th, 2017. Again, that's the Chapter 1 release date. 9 for September. 8 for the 8th date of September. Plus 2, plus 0, plus 1, plus 7. What do you think those total?
27.
27. 9 plus 8 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7 equals 27. Now you might be thinking to yourself, oh, I think I know what's coming next. You're probably right. September 6th, 2019, that would be the date that It Chapter 2 was released. 9 plus 6 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 9 equals 27. Coincidence?
That's some Alex Jones shit, dude.
Some Alex Jones shit right there for you. So I think someone had a little bit of fun when they scheduled those. I wonder, see, the thing is, I feel like maybe they realized that the first time, I don't know, like, was it the first time around like a very conscious thing, or is it something at some point they realize it and are like, oh shit, like we could do it.
I feel like it's got to be conscious. That has to be a conscious
but
thing.
it's pretty interesting though. So
it's pretty
and
cool.
I guess, at the same time, like September, I wouldn't say it's a traditional horror release date. Like you'd probably think of October with Halloween season, that this might be the right time to release basically a horror movie. I mean, there's certainly other elements of different genres, I think, both within Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. But, you think of Pennywise, you think scary clowns and stuff like that. So, anyway, that's my fun fact for you. I guess you can make your own assessment on whether that's fun or not, but I thought that was pretty interesting, if nothing else.
It would just be cool. It'd be cool if they... I feel like this movie in particular would be ripe for the viral marketing from, like... way back when with Cloverfield and everything. I think that would have been pretty cool. Anyways, that's it. Side note. Especially when you're calling back release dates, they equal 27 and blah, 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 blah. And that could have been cool. They don't seem to do that a whole lot anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I don't know. I feel like
viral
I'm sure they have, but I just
effort,
haven't paid a lot of attention to anything. So if there has been anything, it's probably not been for anything that's like really piqued my interest in the way that the Cloverfield one, the example you brought up, that one was always really cool. Sticks out. So we got a lot to get into.
Yeah, let's get it.
And I think without further ado, we should go ahead and get going on that. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our Disney D23 Exposition Roundup. Got a lot of news to talk about, some general Disney stuff, a lot of Disney Plus stuff, of course. Marvel, Star Wars, it's all there, baby. It's all there for us. It's all there for us to talk about, and talk about it we shall. I will kick this off with a discussion about a couple animated films coming soon from Disney and related companies, starting with Pixar, a little action from Pixar. So let me go ahead and tell you the details on not actually the next film coming from Pixar. That's going to be Onward, which is the one with elves and shit, and like a real world kind of setting. I think we got a trailer for it a little while back, Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. This is for something that is coming out. Let's see. Do we have a date for this? We do. June 19th, 2020 is when this film is going to debut. It's called Soul. It's going to be directed by Pete Docter, who has directed the likes of Up and Inside Out for Pixar previously. Okay. And it's going to star the voice talents of Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Daveed Diggs, Questlove, and Felicia Rashad. And it's about... It's got a little idea from Pixar. They always have their little fun ideas. Their idea is that every person on Earth comes pre-installed with a soul formed and perfected in a cosmic realm. And Jamie Foxx is going to play a middle school music teacher who dreams of playing at a legendary New York jazz club. And after the wrong step into an open sewer grate, he slips back into his soul form back in a separate realm where the souls exist. And he has to do some existential work before he can land his big gig back on Earth. So
that sounds fucking cool.
That's the pitch.
That sounds cool.
It sounds pretty cool. I 100% agree with that. Now, I think something else that's really fucking interesting, and it's kind of what you might think of as a weird pairing, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, also known as collectively as 9 Inch Nails, doing the score for this film. So
that's
Pixar
fucking cool.
plus 9 Inch Nails. I'm just like, okay. I think I want
made
this.
in heaven.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So that's what's going on the Pixar front, and I think that all sounds pretty cool.
Who's
definitely looking
this?
forward to that. This is going to be directed by Pete Docter. Again, he's the guy that worked on Up and Inside Out for Pixar previously.
All right.
So good Pixar resume in the director's chair, and pretty interesting
Up was
premise.
incredible.
So,
Up was an awesome movie.
Up was, and Inside Out was also...
I never saw Inside Out.
Incredible, likewise. So, well, you're doing
Gotta
yourself a disservice. You should check it out. Anyone should check it out. Our listeners should check it out if they haven't. It's a really good one. Definitely one of Pixar's better ones recently, I would say. So that's what's going on with Pixar. Now on the Disney Animation, Walt Disney Animation Studios front, they've got another project that they're working on, and it's called Raya and the Last Dragon, which I think is a pretty cool title. I feel like it's a striking title. I can also give you some details on this. It follows Raya, a lone warrior from the fantasy kingdom of Kumandra, who teams up with a crew of misfits in her quest to find the last dragon, thus bringing light and unity back to their world. What's going on there?
Fucking cool.
I don't know, but it sounds
They're going
cool.
on a quest, dude.
Some voice cast announced. Cassie Steele, I'm unfamiliar with her, but your girl Aquafina is going to be voicing none other than the Last Dragon. So that's pretty
Aquafina?
cool. She's
Very
in it, man.
nice. Aquafina's pretty excellent.
She's doing. I mean,
She
seems
might
to be killing
win.
it lately.
She might win the year.
She seems to be killing it lately. Let's just put it it's pretty impressive. I will say that. This is a November 2020 scheduled release date. I think Frozen 2 is the next Disney animation project that comes out in a couple months' time. So I'm not sure if they have anything in between those two, but it sounds pretty interesting. They put out concept art of it, and it looks very striking, very interesting visuals. So I'm pretty excited to see kind of what they do with that. It's said to be inspired by the beautiful and diverse cultures of Southeast Asia, and it will explore themes of community and hope. So that all sounds pretty cool.
That's community and hope's pretty fucking rad, dude.
So there you go. There's some animated projects for you to kick off our D23 slate. What have you on your plate, sir?
I have, I don't know if it's the first movie announced for Disney Plus.
It could, it might be. I think it's debuting day one with the service.
Trailer.
So.
First trailer for a full-length movie. Lady and the Tramp is being released for one of the first Disney Plus exclusive films, and it looks
it's a live-action remake of the cartoon. You know, it's not the original.
It reminded me of Little Bubba. I used to have a little dog that looked like Lady, a little Bubba dog. Mm-hmm. But then the animation kind of looked kind of funky, and it didn't settle well with me. It's like, my Bubba didn't look like that. The dog looks a little strange.
He probably didn't talk, I didn't think so.
He didn't talk either.
Well, he didn't talk to me anyway. I guess I should say that.
He talked to my soul, but that's about it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But not with his mouth. So
you're not loving this? You think is the animation's just kind of jarring? Is that kind of the idea?
I think the animation kind of looks just a little jarring. I'm not if you want to have your animals speak,
I think live action, super realistic talking animals. Like if Lion King was any proof of this, it's hard to do it. Apparently,
yeah, it's fucking
you have to make it a little bit more of a caricature of it, not too realistic. Otherwise, it feels weird.
It's
and also just don't do cats, whatever that is. Don't do that.
Yeah, whatever that is, definitely don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's fucking weird.
It's a cautionary tale.
I feel like there's a median that we need to find here. If we're struggling to find our footing.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Humanoid people.
On one hand, you got cats. On the other hand, you got the Lion King. Find the middle ground.
It can be done, but they're struggling to find it. So
I feel like it didn't bother me in the Jungle Book, but I haven't seen it in a while. So.
I haven't seen that one. You know what did it really well was the fucking Ape movie.
Which one? What movie?
Planet of the Apes. I'm sorry, the Ape movie.
Oh, Planet of the Apes. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
That was really fucking solid.
Yeah, that was well done.
But then again, they're also. I mean, monkeys and apes are more humanoid featured.
Yeah, they're more anthropomorphic to begin with.
Right.
So just animating the mouths and
just
stuff like that's probably less
to it a little bit
troublesome. Easier. Yeah, but that's fair.
I don't know. I feel like there's a balance that needs to be struck, and we're struggling to find it. I don't think Lady and the Tramp is the one to look at here, but it might be pretty good. It's got an excellent cast. Tessa Thompson stuck out to me.
Yep, Justin Theroux, I believe, is playing the Tramp. So, yeah.
Justin Theroux? Is that the Prime Minister of Canada?
No, that's Trudeau.
Oh, okay.
That'd be pretty awesome, though. Yeah, it looks fine. I'd say if there's any one thing that I think the most positive thing you could probably say about this is you're going to get Disney Plus for other reasons, and this might not be the worst way to spend an hour and a half of your life. You know what I mean? Like if this was a theatrical release in November, it'd kind of just be like, I'll wait for streaming or Blu-ray. And you're like, well, no, you don't have to. It's right there. It's right there for you. You've got a wealth of content. This is technically brand new content, even if it's not the most original of content. You know, like for me, I'm kind of just like, I might be willing to take a flyer on this one in a way that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. So that's something, you know.
Hey, what else
it's a backhanded compliment, but, you know, either way.
Another thing that gets me excited about Disney Plus is The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, dude, I'm so fucking pumped for this. This looks awesome.
It's just Jeff Goldblum doing fucking Jeff Goldblum shit. Discovering new things.
What more could you ask for? This seems like the best premise. It's just literally like, just get a camera crew and follow Jeff Goldblum around. Like, let him do whatever he wants to do. Say some weird shit. Do some weird shit with his mouth. Like,
hey, Jeff, you're gonna go to like organized water dancing or whatever the fuck it's called. Okay.
Oh, all right.
It's fucking that. He's a crazy dude. And it's on National Geographic. Did you know Disney owned National Geographic? I didn't know that.
I don't know that I did. Like, I don't know. Maybe if they're owned by ABC, which is owned by Disney. Like, I feel like there's probably a few layers if I had to guess, but I don't think I knew that outright. No, it's interesting.
Yeah, but National Geographic is a provider of content on Disney Plus apparently because they're providing.
Right. Yeah, because I knew that this was coming to Disney Plus, so I guess I just didn't quite make that connection.
Yeah, found that interesting.
By National Geographic Partners, which is a joint venture between the Walt Disney Company and the National Geographic Society. So looks like Disney has about a 73% ownership share. So
yeah, it's cool.
That's fucking Disney then. Guess it makes sense why it's on Disney Plus. Didn't know that though. Did not know that outright though. So yeah, this looks interesting. I believe that it's also premiering when Disney Plus goes live November 12th of this year. Only a couple months away now. So
I'm excited about Disney Plus. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, we're
going to get into
talk about
it.
more stuff coming to Disney Plus, stuff that I think will definitely get stuff that's probably more our shit, you know.
The World According to Jeff Goldblum definitely strikes me as like a I think both of us watched the Conan thing. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very different. Jeff Goldblum and Conan are very different people, but
yeah, but it's like just find a personality that you enjoy watching and just throw them anywhere and like just let them interact with people and do weird shit. Like, yeah, it's great. Like that's all you need.
That's
like
really cool.
It's fun enough to just watch that as a concept. It totally works. So I'm excited for this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got anything about the Disney Plus?
I do. I have some stuff. I have a lot of Marvel stuff. I should say that up front.
Disney
I have a lot of Marvel stuff that I want to talk about, and a lot of that does include Disney Plus. But I'll also have some non-Disney Plus stuff to talk about a little bit later. But let's start with the Disney Plus since we're on that Disney Plus hype train. 3 more shows announced for Disney Plus from Marvel Studios.
Live action or animated?
These are all live action television series coming to Disney Plus. So, you know, they recently announced a fuck ton of these at San Diego Comic-Con, and I think, at least speaking for myself, I thought that was it. Like, Marvel Studios probably wouldn't have much of a presence at D23 because Comic-Con was kind of like,
yeah, they announced
this is Phase 4. You've seen everything. Fucking Mahershala Ali is Blade. You know, like just throwing everything at you. But they apparently had more in their back pocket. And look, man, I'm excited because we're getting, again, 3 more series coming to Disney Plus. And those 3 series are Miss Marvel, which is the Kamala Khan variant of the Miss Marvel character, introduced to comics pretty recently. She's a Pakistani American from a religious family in New Jersey that has polymorphous powers, so she can kind of stretch and change shape a little bit, Mr. Fantastic-esque. But very, very cool to see a Muslim kind of character to be
Muslim woman representation. Is that what you're saying?
Right. You know, it's kind of all the things that people in this country are not fans of. Certain people in this country are not fans of. Let me specify.
Not all of us, motherfucker.
Not all of us. Not all of us. You're right. Absolutely right. I shouldn't be all of us, but it's more than there should be, I would think. So yeah, it's a really cool direction for them to take with a character like this. I know a lot of people wanted her to be in a movie, and I believe Kevin Feige has said that she will get introduced in this series before appearing in feature films afterward.
Okay.
So that's really cool. Additionally, we're getting...
Do we have casting on that?
No. None of these have any casting. These are all just very much preliminary, like, hey, we're making it type things. He's also announced the likes of Moon Knight, Mark Spector.
Fucking Moon Knight?
Fucking Moon Knight, man, which is very cool. Mark Spector is a former CIA agent who was almost killed by a terrorist named Bushman. His life was saved by the moon god Khonshu. At which point he kills Bushman and becomes the Moon Knight. Where basically 4 personalities kind of live within him, and they basically jockey for control over him. So, I think a lot of the recent runs have kind of focused on this element of, well, is he a fucking superhero with Egyptian godlike powers, or is he a nutcase? Like, I don't know exactly what the direction they're going to go with it is, if they're going to play it a little bit more straight, or if they're going to kind of play with those kind of themes. I don't know. We'll have to see what they do. They technically kind of tried that angle a little bit in Iron Fist, early Iron Fist, and that was not good. So maybe they'll take some lessons of things not to do from that. And last but not least, we're getting a series focused on She-Hulk. Who is, well, pretty easy to figure out what she's all about based on the name. But her alter ego is Jennifer Walters. She's a lawyer. She's the cousin of Bruce Banner, who at one point in the comics receives an emergency blood transfusion from him. His gamma-irradiated blood transfers some of his Hulk-like qualities to her. But she's usually... I think how she's typically depicted is that she cannot shift between being Jennifer Walters and like the She-Hulk. She's basically just She-Hulk with kind of just the Jennifer Walters personality fused, kind of close to what we saw with Banner and Endgame. Where it was the smart Hulk.
She's
kind of the merged
perpetually
personality.
in a fucking Hulk state.
Right. But she's also not as ridiculously
bulky.
Large as she's kind of like which I guess that Hulk was also a little bit smaller, so it's, I think, structurally very
he was
similar.
Smaller. He fit in that fucking bed of the truck. He was in that bed of that truck in that movie.
So he was smaller than he had been, I guess we should say. So those are the 3 coming to Disney Plus. I think these are all probably well down the pipeline, probably 2021 plus.
That's incredible.
At soonest.
I'll be honest with you. I saw the news here on the thing. I saw that you're going to talk about it, and I kind of and when I got the text that they were making this stuff, I got excited. You get the cool the logos for the shows and everything else.
Yeah.
And the entire time we were texting up until tonight, I thought they were animated shows. I don't know what gave me. I don't know what gave me that. I don't know what gave me that feeling. But knowing that they're live action adds a totally new dynamic to it, and that makes me pumped about Disney Plus. I am excited.
Yeah, that's a
lot of news.
So many cool
content,
things.
Man. A lot of cool content.
And I'm going to talk about more Disney Plus stuff right now. I mean, stuff that we had officially confirmed or announced at Comic-Con. I'm going to get into a little bit more details on just now. So actually, you talk about animated stuff. I don't think I have this quite on the list, but I'm going to talk about it from my recollection. So What If is a show that they announced at Comic-Con that they are doing.
That's right.
Which is the animated one that they're doing with Jeffrey Wright narrating it as the Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
I think... I don't know exactly
Jeffrey
what
Wright's
the source...
the guy from
Westworld.
Westworld, right. The black one. The black guy, right?
Bernard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And there were some leaked images, I think, that came out at some point. I'm not sure exactly where they leaked from, if they were from a D23 presentation or a San Diego Comic-Con presentation or something like that. But basically, they showed... I think they had already kind of hinted, or at least outright told, that there would be a story within What If Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum, became basically Captain Britain instead of Steve Rogers becoming Captain America. So they're going to do that. They definitely, we've seen there's some images of that floating around. And there's also some other, I can think of 2 other images in particular that stand out to me. One of a zombie Captain America. So I don't know if they're doing a What If Marvel Zombies type storyline.
Oh man.
But that seems interesting. And then there's also one, which to me is totally fucking left field, and I'm really curious to see what they do with it. It's T'Challa as Star-Lord. He's wearing the Star-Lord get up with the mask and everything, but it's T'Challa with like the fucking, necklace and shit. So I have no idea what's going on there. Like it's
fucking
like basically
bonkers,
Wakandan Star-Lord. So I'm like, how does that happen? But I guess that's why they have the what if storyline set up for that. So I'd be really curious to see how they spend
Star-Lord, like,
basically.
That's cool.
So yeah, and I think there'll probably be more. I assume each episode will probably be like what if this, just like one thing, and then maybe it's butterfly effect here, and and kind of builds on that.
That's really cool, man.
But it's really cool. It's a really interesting way to use an animated series as a medium, especially within the world of Marvel Studios when they're bringing in like so much of the voice talent back from the films and stuff. But anyway, that was not on my list. What I do have on my list is some details regarding a couple shows that were announced. First one being the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we knew that Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan for, of course, as the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We knew that Daniel Bruhl was going to come back as Baron Zemo. We actually saw a look a little while back of him wearing the sock mask, which looked pretty cool. It was kind of grainy and stuff like that, but they're giving him a proper Zemo get up, which I enjoy. At D23, they've announced a couple new cast members to it as well. One is a returning figure from the MCU, and that's Emily Van Camp, who's going to reprise her role as Sharon Carter.
Okay.
Now that Cap's out of the picture, he went back to the 40s to hang out with her aunt. She's been left high and dry. So we'll see how things work out for you. I'm sure she'll understand. Hopefully she understands. Interestingly enough as well, Wyatt Russell is joining as John Walker, who in the comics is a character by the name of U.S. Agent, who is basically a very similar character to Captain America. He's basically a super soldier, except he's more of an anti-hero type character where he's not as good as is not as morally good as a Steve Rogers is, and so he's kind of a darker kind of version, kind of a darker spin on Captain America.
It looks like he wields a gun.
Yeah, Cap kills people too. Let's not, he's got a code though, you know what I mean? I think U.S. Agent's probably a little bit more willing to get his hands dirty and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think just from reading discussions and stuff like that, I think people have kind of speculated that this might be where the story is going, but I think it would be really cool if it does. But people are speculating that, now that Falcon's been handed the shield, he is presumably going to be the new Captain America. But is America ready to accept a black Captain America? Maybe not. And that's where you get a U.S. agent coming in, and the government's just like, we can't have this guy be Captain America. Now we're going to make our own Captain America, and
he's just an
so
asshole.
I think that might be an interesting way to handle some things that are pretty topical, and do it in this kind of medium. So if they push in that direction, I feel like that could be really interesting. But I feel like the fact that they're bringing in a not Captain America seems to suggest that they're trying to do a little bit something a little bit interesting with it. So so that's what's going on the Falcon and Winter Soldier front. I also have some more details on WandaVision, if you would like to hear them.
Yeah, I would like to hear them, yes.
All right, well, this show sounds fucking bonkers as shit, because I don't know what's going on with it. We know that it's supposed to lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, in which Scarlet Witch will appear, which is some badass shit. We also knew that there was going to be an older version of Monica Rambeau in it, who first appeared as she was the kid in Captain Marvel. And we're also getting some more familiar faces from the Marvel Cinematic Universe in this as well. Kat Dennings is going to be back as Darcy from Thor and Thor 2. And Randall Park is going to be back as Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp. How do those characters fit into this? No clue. There was a poster. Actually, there's a lot of these that had posters that came out for them. I don't know if you saw the one for this, but it's basically Wanda and like a human-looking Vision on the couch, and then on the wall, kind of near them, there's shadows projected. The shadow of Vision in his android form, and it has what looks to be Wanda and like it looks like a comic book version of the Scarlet Witch with like the headgear and everything. So. I don't. What's going on with this show? Who fucking knows?
They said it was going to be really weird, from what I read.
Yeah, they're describing it as like the weirdest thing that Marvel's ever done. Wacky and fun, like funny
borderline
and epic,
sitcom, right? It's a borderline sitcom.
Yeah. They're describing it as half epic and half sitcom. So I have to think that Wanda is getting a little funky with her powers. That's my prediction, and then at some point things will probably come crashing down as maybe reality starts to seep in, stuff like that. I really don't know what the angle is, but I'm really, really curious. I mean, and again, just the lone fact that it's supposed to tie into Doctor Strange I feel like that has to tip you off that there's going to be some weird shenanigans happening in this. So that's, I don't know. It's really tantalizing,
cool. Right?
To see them doing things like this and not afraid to get weird with it. Confident Marvel Studios is pretty good. So that's it for the Disney Plus stuff that I have for you. There was a poster for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I think there were posters for a couple other upcoming Marvel Studios projects. We got one for Black Widow, which I think there was a look at David Harbour wearing the Red Guardian costume. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, he's got the beard and everything.
Yeah. So I totally did not think they were going to give him a full costume. I was not ready for that. So I'm really, really curious to see how that turns out. And then we got a poster for, I think, the Eternals showing some, fucking Celestials and shit.
Which
just
looks
some wacky shit.
Cool.
But yeah, let's talk about Eternals, actually, since I just mentioned it. More casting information on that, and they brought all the cast out on stage at D23, and they put up these concept arts behind them, basically showing each cast member and their Eternals costumes. They're all kind of wearing onesies, colorful onesies and stuff like that. But it looks interesting. Marvel's getting weird and cosmic, and Confident Marvel Studios is really cool, and I like the designs of these a lot. I will say, and the cast is great. Cast is really, really great, and so there are a few new cast members that they've confirmed as well. First one being Gemma Chan, who is no stranger to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She actually played Minerva, who was the blue alien in Captain Marvel. She was like the sniper character in that. She's playing a totally different character here, by the name of Cersei. So it's kind of a weird kind of double dipping for casting, but she had basically no role in that movie, and I don't think anyone's going to care / notice anyway. So it is what it is. And then also, I'm going to botch this guy's name. Barry Keoghan is going to be playing the villain of the film Druig. He was in Chernobyl recently. He was the kid with the dogs at the dog episode, if you remember that. And he was in, I think, Dunkirk, and I think I feel like he was in something else recently, something I didn't see but you did. Was he the guy? I feel like he was in Bandersnatch, but I could be just making that up. No, he wasn't. Someone else was in that. But he wasn't. He was in Dunkirk. So there you go. He's playing the villain, and Kit Harington, old Jon Snow. Jon Snow, I don't want it. She's my queen. she's my eternal. He's he's going to be playing. He's going to be playing a non-eternal by the name of Dane Whitman, who in the comics, you might have guessed, is a superhero by the name of Black Knight. So he's getting in on the superhero fun, and apparently the character is going to be in the Eternals. So I'm not sure how exactly that's going to work, although I assume a good chunk of the film will be Earth-based, as things are wont to be. Anyway, I think I might have covered most of the Eternal stuff. Yeah, the casting stuff is kind of out there. The rest of the cast is Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Lauren Ridloff, Brian Tyree Henry, Leah McHugh, Don Lee, and Angelina Jolie, and Salma Hayek. I mean, ridiculous. It's ridiculous is what it is. It's weird. It's out there. It's cosmic. It's cool. It's got Jon Snow. Come on. November 6th, 2020. That's what I got for you on that front. And then there was one. And then there was one last piece of news that Marvel Studios brought to the table. Probably the least surprising news that I can think of, and that would be Black Panther is getting a sequel, officially getting a sequel.
Wow,
I should say.
Who would have thought that?
Right, by the name of Black Panther 2, apparently working title, and that's going to come out May 6th, 2020. 2020, 22? No, 2022. That's probably the one. And Ryan Coogler is back to write and direct. And presumably, I would imagine most of the cast will return as well. So, not a whole lot of details on it other than like, duh, it's happening. But it was a notable, exclusion at Comic-Con along with like a Captain Marvel sequel and stuff like that. So it's always good to have official confirmation from the man himself, from Kevin Feige himself, and he says it's coming. So there you go. That's Marvel. That's Marvel. I've probably talked for a long time, but
I have some more exciting news from Disney Plus, and that is Star Wars news, dude.
Oh, I'm always here for Star Wars news. Lay it on me. What's the Star Wars news?
All right, so the first Star Wars news. There's multiple Star Wars newses.
Oh fuck.
They went fucking bonkers on the Star Wars news, dude.
Okay.
First one, and it's a big one. Ewan McGregor is returning as Obi-Wan Kenobi for Disney.
Oh,
Plus
praise be
series.
Praise be Lucasfilm.
Yes,
Disney
they've
Plus
got
series,
Ewan McGregor back. Who I don't know about you, but I really enjoy Ewan McGregor. I think he's pretty great. He's great as Obi-Wan Kenobi. So is Guinness. He's good as Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. And I believe that his name, right? Guinness, he did the...
Sir Alec Guinness.
Yep. But obviously he's not coming back. So
That's true.
So who are you going to pull? You're going to pull fucking Ewan McGregor back. And it's exciting news. And it's going to be, an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, I believe?
Yeah.
Some sort of series from Disney Plus.
It's a series centered around him. I believe my understanding is this is going to take place, I think, 8 years, I think is the figure I heard. 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. So kind of that in-between period between the two trilogies, which makes sense, Is he going to be on Tatooine the whole time? Probably not, but... at some point he's going to have to turn into Alec Guinness, so we'll find out when that happens. But he's going to look a little bit more like Ewan McGregor.
Old in episode 4, though.
Yeah, but I feel like I think he looked older than he actually was, whereas Ewan McGregor looks younger than he actually is. So it's kind of the two extremes happening there. He's got a little bit of the Hollywood aging going on. I mean, how old do you think Ewan McGregor is, if you had to guess? Just like
40,
first pass.
40, I would say Ewan McGregor would be mid-40s.
48. He's almost 50. He looks pretty good. I mean, he's no Tom Cruise, all right, but like he's still looking pretty good for his age. I'm not sure how old Alec Guinness was. I think he might have been in his 60s when he filmed, like A New Hope. But at the same time, like Ewan McGregor he's not gonna magically morph into Alec Guinness in like 20 years time even, you know what I mean? Like it's just not gonna happen. So, but yeah, no, it's really cool. Apparently they have all the scripts written for it already.
Wow.
Like it's going into production.
They've got like a deliberate
next
idea
year.
then.
I mean, this has been like the most like craved Star Wars content for a long time. They were supposed to do a movie. Like I think even Hollywood Reporter broke the news that a movie's happening. So I'm thinking at some point it probably got refashioned into a series. That would be my guess.
Which was totally okay.
Solo came out and they're like, maybe we'll pump the brakes on the movies and stuff.
It's a story that could be, it's a story worth telling. I mean, he fights Darth Maul in it. At some point, he fights Darth Maul at some point in its experience between
Right,
Revenge
that's true.
of the
There
Sith
is
and
Rebels
A New
content
Hope.
that they've already kind of touched on that deals with this time gap. So yeah,
it's fucking cool.
it's cool. I think it would be cool if they use the opportunity to play with certain elements of Solo, like Maul particularly, which, I mean, obviously we kind of know how that ends, I suppose, if you've watched Rebels, but at the same time, there's still stuff that you could do with like Crimson Dawn and stuff like, anything along those lines.
Right.
Like there's tons of places they can go with it. So I'm just hoping that they don't just totally abandon ship on all the Solo stuff, because I think it's a pretty solid movie. It just didn't make a lot of money. It is what it is. Like I get why you wouldn't want to make a Solo too.
But they haven't abandoned anything though. I mean, what have they abandoned? I mean, they abandoned Jar Jar, I suppose. We haven't seen any
kind
Gungans.
of. I mean, he showed up in one of the new novels. wasn't he? He was like, it was like a street performer or something like that. Like that was his fate.
What? No.
He was a you know. Well, he was a politician by episode 3. He's the one that basically was he the one that voted for like the emergency powers for Palpatine?
Yeah, he fucking voted into Palpatine. There was a theory out there that he's a Sith.
Fucking Jar Jar.
Jar Jar Sith. Sith Jar Jar. Lord have mercy.
Well, that tracks. So it could be. I don't know. Yeah.
The big one though.
Anyway,
the big one. At least in my opinion, the big one. There's 3 big news pieces here I'm talking about, but this is my favorite. I couldn't be more excited about The Mandalorian. We got a official trailer from The Mandalorian at D23.
One in actual, HD quality, not just leaked bullshit.
That's right.
Wherever that was.
And it looks...
Celebration, I guess.
It looks incredible.
It looks like a fucking movie. Like, in terms of just aesthetics of it. Like,
it does look like a movie. And
got your boy JT in it. I mean, come on.
Justin Timberlake is in fact in it.
As Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian.
That's
correct.
Right. You also got that lady from she was in some kicking ass movie, but she's a Mandalorian too.
Gina Carano.
That's it. Yep.
Haywire, Deadpool, stuff like that.
There's also the guy. There's a guy giving some talk about Mandalorian, being a bounty hunter, some fucking crazy business.
Van that Herzog.
Yeah, he's in it. And it just looks really cool. The aesthetic looks awesome. At one point,
Giancarlo Esposito.
They
fucking Carl Weathers.
Fucking Carl Weathers. He shoots that thing around that dude's feet and pulls him in the door and shoots the fucking blaster
closes
the door on him. Fuck! I'm so excited. At one point, he's got like a blaster rifle and a little pistol. He's pointing at multiple people, and it looks like it's fucking hairy. And oh man, The Mandalorian. It looks fucking cool, and it's like the first live action television. It's the first.
That's just it. It's like it's kind of crazy to think about because like Star Wars has obviously been around for a long time, and I feel like there's always been talk about like, why don't they do a TV series? Why don't they do a TV series? And then finally with the Disney acquisition and, basically kind of the resurgence in content, they've done everything except for
a live action
TV stuff.
Yeah.
So this is like, it's like, wow, like how did it take this long? And then I know they spent a lot of money on this, and maybe that's why. It's because they're probably like, it's Star Wars, you got to do it fucking right, And like, I think maybe that was always the hesitation is like, if you do it, you have to spend a lot of money on it, and I can understand probably a hesitation to do that with television content, but like, fuck, if this is the stuff that they're going to put out, now granted we haven't seen it, but like,
it looks
just from the look of it, like I can tell that I'm going to like this. I can tell.
Fucking Taika Waititi
and Johnny V together, man. Like, oh man, it's all here for.
He's doing he's IG whatever.
He's spinning
what's
around.
His name?
Yeah, he's IG-88, but not. I think he's a different model or a different. I think the same model, but a different droid, I guess, or whatever. So,
which is fucking cool. Do you remember that guy from the Nintendo 64 game? Were you
Dash Rendar?
Well, yes. Where you fight
Shadows of the Empire?
Yes, you fight him in the fucking trash planet, and he kicks your ass. You remember that?
Oh yeah, in IG-88, yeah, in Shadows of the Empire, yeah.
Oh man, it was so hard. And that's my recollection of that droid is kicking my ass.
No.
On the N64.
Probably didn't sound like Taika Waititi, to be fair.
No, but now we got a Taika Waititi one, and that's pretty cool.
I feel like they could totally just bring in like the regular IG-88 at some point too.
Yeah.
Like Story Group's going to be okay with that.
They could do whatever they want.
Anyway, looks fucking cool. November 12th, this is debuting with Disney Plus when it drops.
Day one backers.
But there is a catch, weekly releases on the episodes, so it's not an all-at-once drop. But either way, I'm all in day one.
Take a note from Netflix,
watch this
motherfuckers.
Well, Netflix is scaling back on their drop all-at-once content. They're starting to push for some weekly stuff on some of their shows, so I don't know.
Well, I tell you what I know. I know that we got some Rise of the Skywalker footage. We got some special look, one of which includes a Ray Bay with a foldable lightsaber.
A foldable red lightsaber.
A foldable
well.
red lightsaber.
She's got some sinister-looking, dark-colored
Hoodage.
robes.
And some
a hood on.
robotic-looking eyes, like she's just fucking dead to the world. She doesn't...
Yeah. So obviously that, this is probably 70% footage from previous movies, and then a little dash of some new stuff at the end. There's some cool stuff in the new, like, the fucking massive fleet of Star Destroyers. Like, what's going on
you got
there?
the massive fleet of Star Destroyers, but you also have, like, the Rebels, which they're not Rebels anymore. It's like the Republic, the destroyed Republic, I guess. The Resistance.
I guess the Resistance.
Flying in from hyperspace, or
Yeah.
the way they stop,
beamwings
the way
and
they
shit.
fucking stop, dude. It just looks so fucking cool. I got goosebumps. I get goosebumps watching Star Wars shit.
Got evil C-3PO, evil 3PO.
Yeah, he just like rises
Evil
up with his
PO?
red eyes.
What's going on there? Is he going to kill some people?
I don't know what's going on
Might
with
be.
that. I feel like it's just a different
I think
mode.
he's been possessed by Emperor Palpatine personally.
So his LED eyeballs go red. It's part of his programming. Palpatine says,
Yeah.
"I will turn your eyes red."
Yes, good. The shot of Rey and Kylo fighting on. I can't tell exactly what's going on. I don't know exactly where
They're
are.
not happy with each other.
But it looks cool. Visually very striking. But yeah, I think the thing that people are talking about is the lightsaber and what's going on with Rey. So let me ask you, what's going on with Rey? This is our new segment of the show. What's going on with Rey?
So I think, I've read the interwebs. I think there might be a couple of different things. I think a return to Yoda's planet might be worth be looking into, especially if JJ's kind of diving into the content. And his first movie was like a total recall of
Total
like
Recall.
Yeah, exactly, of greatest hits of Star Wars.
Greatest hits, yeah.
Maybe we return to the what's the saying? What's the saying when you go back to the well? Back to the well. When you go back to the well, maybe he goes back to the well, and maybe Rey goes to Dagobah,
Right.
and maybe she goes inside that cave.
The cave. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's an evil version of her. I find that more likely than the Star Killer. There's a Star Killer theory racing around the interwebs that maybe Palpatine had cloned, has cloned Rey. I don't think that's likely. I think
Unless she was always a clone, and this is just one of others.
that's true. I find that I just don't see that happening. It's like more video game content.
Yeah, it's a little bit more expanded universe kind of lore that I feel like they've tried to... They blew up the canon for a reason, and I feel like if they do that, where it's like, it's Rey, but she's got two E's, so it's Rey, like the Luke, and I'm like, just I don't want it.
Stop
just don't
that.
want any of that. Yeah. So hopefully it's not that. I agree. I think that was
I think
your
it
point.
might be just I think it might be... I really like the Dagobah idea. So I think maybe she returns there in training. And I think that might be the same case with Palpatine. They're playing up the Palpatine deal, but I don't think Palpatine's around. I really don't think they're going to go that route. I think it's going to be more of a lingering thing versus a legitimate threat. You know what I mean?
I think Palpatine will be around in some fashion, but I'm not sure if that is going to be like a holocron or something like that, or like where it's just like,
that'd be cool.
like he's there, but not literally him. I hope it's not like a full-fledged, like, I'm back. I was biding my time. I was Snoke the whole time. All right, whatever. Pump the brakes on that maybe a bit. But I could definitely. I feel like obviously they're not holding it to be a surprise if he is in fact in the film in some fashion. They put out the poster with fucking face lurking over everyone, and his voice is literally in this special look that we got. Plus the laugh at the end of the teaser, like they're not hiding the ball in terms of Palpatine being involved, but the fact that they're leaning into it so much to me feels like it's a misdirection. Like it seems like it probably is. And I think absolutely this is probably misdirection. Again, if they're going to show it in something like this, it can't be that critical. Or maybe they're playing head games with us and they're like, oh no, we've showed you the end of the film. I don't think that's the case, though. I'm 110% behind the Force Vision theory. I fully subscribe to that. I don't think it necessarily has to be Dagobah, or it could even just, like I think any sort of Force sensitive area, even because she had like the Vision in The Last Jedi, which was a little bit more kind of out there, and it wasn't quite like this. You know what I mean? Where she's reaching and there's like the million rays and stuff like that. They were showing all the clones. Oh my God, we figured it all out. But I think it'll be something along those lines, or like what we saw with Luke and Dagobah and stuff like that. But I don't think that she's going to have. I don't think she's turning evil. Let's put it that way.
No, I don't think so.
Any other lingering thoughts on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker? Any other lingering thoughts on D23 as a whole?
No, just The Mandalorian looks fucking incredible.
It does look incredible. I'm very excited. I think we'll definitely cover that. I think
that's the high
we can
point,
pencil that one
in. News of D23's Mandalorian
when it wraps up.
Yeah, totally.
So D23 crushed it. I apologize, guys. I know this is already going to be. I warned everyone that it was going to be a long episode, but we're already. I can already feel us getting a little bit into the weeds on some of these things. But we did originally intend to have that as a separate episode, and it would have been a fun episode to get into. But there's just going to be a wealth of content on this episode, so we're gonna keep on keeping on. We do have a little bit more news that we're going to talk about from the past couple weeks, non D23 related news. Basically things that have come out since D23. And I think something that came out right around the time of D23 was a very, very short teaser for a film called El Camino, which is coming to Netflix. And it is, I believe, maybe the full title. I'm not sure if they're including it. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. It's what the title card says. And this is a sequel to Breaking Bad, the series, centering around what's going on with Jesse Pinkman. And so there's it's Skinny Pete. They're kind of questioning him like, yeah, where the fuck is Jesse or whatever like that. But I think the big thing is they've announced that this is coming to Netflix October 11th. So this is just about a month away.
Right around the corner, right?
And how do you feel about the concept of this existing, or is this something that gets you excited? Do you think we need more Jesse Pinkman? Are you okay with having more Jesse Pinkman in your life? And then secondarily,
I hear that the
how'd you feel about the trailer, teaser, whatever it is?
I hear the Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I've heard.
I heard it's real good. Conceptually, I haven't seen that, and I ended with Breaking Bad, the finale of Breaking Bad.
Right.
I don't require more. I haven't revisited Saul, and I'm not particularly excited about this one.
But you have Netflix.
I'm not excited. I'm not.
Right. You have Netflix. It comes out in a month. Will you watch this?
I'll probably end up watching it. Unless I read about it and it requires a Better Call Saul perspective, which I don't think it,
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. But if it does require a Better Call Saul perspective, I am not invested in that show at all. So it's not something I'll watch if that's the case. But if not,
well, I think Better Call Saul has two timelines. I think there's a kind of a post Breaking Bad timeline with Saul kind of after that. But I think most of the series revolves around like a prequel type setting, like before he was introduced to Walt. So I think that's kind of the angle. Yeah, I think Better Call Saul is largely a prequel, although I think there is some like post Breaking Bad connections there. But yeah, Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, I think wrote this. He may have directed it himself. I'm not sure actually on that front. So it's not like someone else taking the property and running with it. It's the man himself going back. Is it because he ran out of ideas and he had to go back to the well? I don't know. But I mean, like Breaking Call Saul, Better Call Saul gets really good marks, Saul, So I feel like he's clearly been able to succeed within playing with an extended Breaking Bad universe in a way. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think, this there wasn't enough here to tell you. I think one thing about like the quality of the movie, other than to be like, it's happening. There we go. It comes out in a month. We'll probably get a full trailer. I think seems like Netflix usually dumps like a full trailer like a week or two ahead of time. So maybe we'll talk about it then, or maybe we'll just wait for it to come out. Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
So we'll see what happens. What do you have? You have any exciting news?
Let's do. I have some news to talk about that wasn't D23 related.
Are you saving best for last? What are you doing here? Are you going to front load it? I got to know what your angle is.
I tell you what, I'll talk about right now, and I'll talk about fucking Bad Boys for Life.
Bad Boys.
This one kind of looks like shit. It kind of looks like that one movie Will Smith came out on Netflix, where he's friends.
Right?
Yes, where he's shooting the ogres and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. It doesn't look very funny. It didn't make me laugh.
Are you fans of Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2?
I did enjoy Bad Boys. I did enjoy Bad Boys 1 and 2. I thought they were kind of funny.
Okay.
I haven't watched them in a long time.
I feel like I thought, like in my brain, like when I think of Bad Boys, and I'm like, I feel like Andrew liked those movies. It doesn't do anything for me, but
you shot me in the ass. He shot him in the ass, and one of them is pretty funny. Martin Lawrence is pretty funny in them. I feel like they were okay. The captain was always kind of real stressed out and stuff. I just feel like this was turned up to 110, and when you kind of look at it, it kind of looks like they're just kind of like washed up old guys trying to collect a paycheck on a property they did like 15 years ago.
It's probably not too far off the mark. I mean, I'm sure Will Smith is doing all right for himself. I'm not sure about Martin Lawrence though. Has he been in anything like super recently?
Definitely not.
So I feel like he might need the paycheck more than Will Smith does.
Right.
But I mean, Will Smith's been in some shit recently too, so it's obviously not that he's above doing shit. So
yeah, it's just not. It just doesn't look very good. So that's my hot take on that. I don't know if it's a hot take.
And Will Smith is going to be in Gemini Man, so he's definitely not above doing shit.
He's what?
Gemini Man. He's also going to be in that.
Correct.
Coming
yes,
out pretty soon,
younger self. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I do not care for those movies coming out.
You know what it is.
What is it?
Bad Boys for Life. It's missing one, I think, key ingredient.
What's that?
Of the Bad Boys franchise. Michael Bay. He's not directing it, man. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, Michael Bay. Did he do both of those, or just the?
I think he did both of them. Yeah, I think he did both of them. Could be wrong, but I think he did both.
Yeah. It just doesn't look as It just wasn't very funny.
Wasn't enough 360 shots for my liking, and not enough big explosions.
There was a lot of explosions and 360 shots in number 2. I can't remember. I don't think they were in number 1 as much, but definitely number 2. Number 2 was ridiculous. They were shooting through the wall, and there was like a 360 shot like around the fucking wall, and it was fucking crazy. That was awesome.
So Bad Boys was 95. That was directed by Michael Bay, but it was his directorial debut. So I feel like he probably had to tone down as much of his sensibilities just to get the fucking job and like do the job. And then by the time Bad Boys 2 rolls around in 2003, like he's got a few films under his belt. Yes. He's like, I'm gonna lean into my shit. Like I'm gonna make this my own. And so I think that's probably.
And Bad Boys 2 was pretty.
There.
Bad Boys 2 was pretty cool. I like Bad Boys 2. It's a lot of practical effects. It was very Transformer-esque, but with some funny cops, and it was pretty cool. I don't know. I remember liking it. I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I remember liking it. So,
well, Bad Boys for Life is coming out, whether you like it or not.
You got anything?
Bad Boys. Yeah, I got some stuff that I can talk about. I can talk about. I'll tell you what. Let me give you a couple. Actually, I think I have 3 DC related things that I can talk about. I'm going to save one for last because it's kind of ties into the movie we're talking about eventually on this episode.
Okay.
But the first 2 things I want to talk about, first is a TV show by the name of Titans.
Okay.
Season 2 full trailer came out. Season 1 obviously aired last year. We all remember the fuck Batman trailer for how bad it was. Apparently the show, not bad at all. Apparently pretty good. Some even say. Haven't watched any of it. I think season 2 actually has now started airing as of recording this episode, but it's another kind of streaming service that does a weekly release. So it's kind of unfolding over the next probably couple months or so. Did you watch this trailer? I guess I'll ask you that.
I did watch this trailer. It was very reminiscent of CW. It had some CW-isms.
It seems it's CW-esque. Certainly the dramatic elements of it definitely had shades of that. I feel like aesthetically it looks a little bit like a grade above CW in terms of quality.
It does.
Like they obviously spent a little bit more money on it.
It's just like they poured it. They pulled the same writer. I feel like they pulled the same writing people.
It does feel that way, but it looks fine, I guess. I mean, like I wouldn't say that watching this trailer made me think I need to immediately watch this show. Like I kind of want to watch it anyway because I like the concept of it, and people are like, no, just don't, the fuck Batman trailer, like, yeah, it was a dream sequence or whatever, and I'm like, well, that was a bad fucking trailer anyway, you spent it, you can defend it all you want, buddy. So I'm it's more of a morbid curiosity, I think, if I had to guess. But I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, I guess. Or I guess we are actively seeing how it turns out. I think people are enjoying it from what I've heard so far. What do you think about old fucking Jorah Mormont as Bruce Wayne? Did that get you excited?
No, not really. If I'm being honest.
Khaleesi, Robin.
I didn't, I never got the vibe that he was fucking Bruce Wayne, to be honest with you. But I know that's what he is, so that's cool. But
yeah, it was just the one scene in the
whatever.
trailer. I don't know. We'll see if maybe he'll suit up at some point. Maybe that'll get you excited. I don't know.
That would be cool if I could see an image of him as fucking Batman. That'd be cool.
What about fucking Deathstroke? Deathstroke get you excited? Nothing. Nothing.
No,
there?
not really. Nothing really got me excited. It just all felt like. It just
Kind of hanging your hat on this sort of thing. You're like, yeah, I had my fun. No thanks.
Yeah,
Is that kind of where you're at?
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. I don't know.
Right.
It didn't get me real excited. Nothing in there got me really pumped.
Fair enough. Well, I might give it a watch at some point. Maybe. I say that about a lot of things, so who knows what that actually means. What about this other DC trailer that we got? The final trailer for Joker. The movie that took Venice by storm. I think it's currently taking Canada by storm. Film festivals and such. How did you feel about this trailer? Is this a little bit more your shit? No?
It did not get me excited, to be fair. But I tell you what does get me excited is the raving going on about this fucking movie.
Yeah.
It is fucking
shit up.
The
Golden
hype.
Lion, fucking Venice, like whoa.
Yeah, the fucking hype is strong on this movie. So I don't know where it's coming from, but it does definitely pique my interest as to why everyone is so excited about this movie and I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I feel like if there's anything that you can, pencil in right now, just watching the trailers that we've gotten, not even just this one, that Joaquin Phoenix is going to fucking nail it. You know that. You can see it already. I've expressed my reservations about this film already. I know there's a lot of people that are very concerned about it in terms of, are certain types of people going to latch onto this movie as something that is going to, I don't want to get into that because I haven't seen the movie. I don't know what it's about.
What are you trying to say?
No, it's just it's a movie about a white guy that the world hates him, and so he resorts to violence. We've seen that story play out pretty much every week in America. You know what I mean? And it's kind of just like, is making a film about like something like that going to feel gross because they're going to try to make the Joker sympathetic, or are we just going to treat him like the piece of shit that he is and spurn him because he's a piece of shit that.
Well, I mean,
I would say that's probably not the case. Is it going to pull back and like, oh no, this is a failure of our treatment, our mental health treatment system? I don't know. What's the angle that this film's going to take? I think that's my central question, and that's my central concern watching this film, or going to be watching this film. Like I said, I think you take that all away. I think you're going to get some great performances, and I think it could be a really interesting film, and it could be an interesting character study. I just worry that it's going to fall into trappings that are going to make it questionable.
Have you read any
from the outside?
Have you read anything negative about it?
Not anything overly negative. I mean, a lot of it seems to be just concerns from the outside looking in, and that's why I'm wondering if it's unwarranted, if it's just detach yourself. It's a fucking comic book movie. I don't know,
because it doesn't seem like it's very comic book movie. It seems like it's
correct.
More...
Like it's obviously intended to not be that.
Well, at least from the
so-
trailers. When you get into the movie, it could be something completely different.
Yeah, maybe Batman shows up in the third act. Who fucking knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they're gonna do, but it definitely doesn't feel like they're. It feels like it's deliberately distancing itself from the genre to be something else. To feel more like a very real, kind of crime movie or something like that, or something about a troubled psyche. Like, I don't know, and so I'm not willing to write this movie off for any reason or another. I've seen concerns expressed, and I sort of can see why those concerns have been expressed, because it seems like it could come off as gross, I think, potentially. But the fact that it's getting such rave reviews to me suggests that maybe it is handled tastefully by the guy that made the Hangover trilogy and Old School. It's possible, I suppose.
Who would have known? Right.
I think the Chernobyl guy was, I think, also involved in the Hangover, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, obviously, people are capable of doing more than one thing. I think is kind of the bottom line, and so hopefully that is the case with this one. I think the trailer looks good. I wouldn't say that it gets me excited either, and just purely in terms of distancing myself from any outside concerns. I think as a film, it looks pretty good.
Looks well acted.
It looks well shot. It seems like it's going to be pretty interesting. I just, we'll see how it turns out.
I do like the title card. I like the title card, how it fills the fucking... I do like the title card in the trailer. I mean...
Yeah, I think it's all pretty striking. I think the imagery in general is pretty striking. The look of all of it is pretty striking. So it absolutely could...
That only gets you so far, though. So
it absolutely could be something really, really astonishing. And I'll see it, obviously. So I think it'll be an interesting film for us to talk about. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is seeing it and having the opportunity to get in on the conversation, to actually have some sort of voice in the conversation. Because as of now, I'm just kind of just like, well, what if this or what if that? And I'm like, well, it's hard to say. That's like, I haven't seen it. So who am I, to really offer any sort of insight into any of this? So October 4th, drops in theaters.
Pretty close.
It's going to happen. So yeah, I'll save my last DC piece of news for a little bit later, and I'll turn the mic back over to you. You got some more goodies, some non-Bad Boys for Life goodies?
I have the Terminator Dark Fate. Terminator.
He's terminating things. What'd you think about this?
This is a movie that I remain curious about. When the first footage that I saw looked absolutely terrible. This footage looks halfway entertaining, with the exception of the "I'll be back" thing from Sarah Connor.
Not great.
That wasn't great. I do enjoy the Arnold just shooting the shit out of that robot's head.
It's so fucking goofy.
Just fucking eating his face off, and then his robot head. It's like, that looks kind of cool. My sensibilities are set quite low on this movie. I think it could just be a shoot 'em up movie. Tim Miller he's not left me disappointed. I've enjoyed his movies. So Tim
Plural?
Miller, who?
Plural? Movies?
Movies?
Has he done anything besides Deadpool?
No. I think he's only done
I like Deadpool.
Yeah, I like Deadpool.
But I will agree with you. The first trailer that we got was horrendous.
Which one?
The first trailer that we got for Dark Fate.
Looked real bad.
This is a better trailer,
right?
But I'm going to still say that this looks horrendous. I feel like people are a lot more positive on this than I am, which is good. Maybe it's just not my thing, or maybe I'm just really fucking skeptical of the Terminator franchise, and just because producer James Cameron returns, like, that doesn't get me excited at all. This dude literally endorsed Genesis, which was so fucking bad. And the weird thing for me is, this straight up looks like a Genesis sequel visually. I don't think plot-wise it's going to have anything to do with it. It's supposed to, branch off of T2, and you got Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor and stuff like that. I'm like, that's all well and good. But just, all of it looks so bad. Just visually, to me, this looks appalling. like the quality of the CG, the quality of everything, like there's nothing visually interesting about this film at all to me. And I don't want to be like, it's not, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know what it's going to be, but I don't like any of the designs of anything. I don't like the look of anything in this film.
There's one spot there where like the Terminator's there and like a dog comes out of him. You know what I'm talking about?
A dog comes out? I don't remember that. I saw the trailer yesterday in front of
in the beginning there, he's like an exoskeleton, but then all of a sudden, like another thing comes out.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. You're right. I do recall that happening.
That looks pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah,
there's one part that actually kind of gets me excited. It's when the girl and the robot are fighting, and it kind of just looks like high impact, super ridiculous choreography. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where they're all hitting each other super hard and stuff. But it was kind of like slow and methodical. It's not like superhero shit. It kind of just looks kind of cool. It's like, it might be kind of cool. And when he's shooting the face off that robot, it's just...
I'm glad that's doing something for you, because every time I watch that shot, it's so fucking goofy to me. Just
do you remember in what is it? The Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton?
Yeah,
where he's fighting the Abomination, and he's just going to town on the roof. He's like breaking his fucking bones and just choking them and shit, just going completely crazy. It's kind of, I don't know what it is about those kind of scenes, but they kind of get me excited, kind of get me pumped up about whatever that scene is.
All right.
It's like some primal shit. So he's shooting his face off, but it's just not doing anything. He's just tearing him up. Bah, 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 bah. You know? There was also one sequence there where everybody's trying to tackle him, but he's like shooting shards of metal through him, like the cops. So it's just kind of, if your ability is like liquid metal or whatever, then people tackling you is not going to really it's not going to do anything, you know? It's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens.
It sounds like you're more positive on this than I am, which is good. Doesn't sound like you're totally sold on the prospect of it, but
it might be total shit.
I also don't think you saw Genesis. I think I'm just been fucking burned by this franchise, man. Like I saw Genesis, and I'm like,
I didn't see Genesis.
It was so bad.
Tell you what, I did see though.
What did you see?
I saw Tom Chancy's Jack Ryan season 1.
Tom Chancy?
Tom Chancy? What'd I say?
I think, did you say Clancy or Chancy? I definitely heard Chancy. I don't know if you actually said that.
I probably said Chancy. I probably definitely said Chancy.
Tom Chancy's just rolling around in his grave right now.
Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. I saw that. And that was pretty good.
I like how you're like, the listeners are probably getting tired of this fool kicking Terminator around. I gotta save it right now. We gotta switch to Jack Ryan. I didn't have anything else to say. I was just gonna probably rant about how much I didn't like it for 5 minutes, but don't worry, I got an extra minute in by virtue of doing that. Jack Ryan.
You like season 1?
Yeah, we liked season 1. Both of us did. Talked about it once upon a time.
Season 2 has a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I know you watched it because it was part of the news feed.
That's right. I deliberately put it on there. That's true.
And trailer 2 looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks good. A different locale than we got in season 1, which I think is good. Kind of keep it fresh. Jim from The Office out here to crush it as always.
Still being a badass.
Yeah. Still being a badass. You know, he's just an analyst, but he's got some other skills too. So.
Yep.
And we did get a date on this one as well, which I don't think we got the first time around. November 1st is when the season is premiering, so that's also pretty soon. But it gives me, I feel like we'll watch this, won't we?
Yes, I know I'm gonna watch it. I really enjoyed season 1. It's pretty much it's the only show I've watched on Amazon in its entirety is that show. And I feel like
I need to watch The Boys. I still haven't watched The Boys yet.
I haven't watched The Boys yet. I haven't watched The Boys yet either.
I would like to watch that. That's another Amazon one, so I bring it up.
Yep. Would you like to go, or would you like me to go?
I got something.
What do you got?
I've got a Tomb Raider sequel for you. Just what everyone was asking for.
Totally exciting. Yes.
everyone was enthralled with Tomb Raider 1 with Alicia Vikander in it, and they said, we want more of that, and someone, MGM apparently, has said, you got it, coming right up. Tomb Raider sequel with Alicia Vikander back on board as Lara Croft.
No problem, here you go.
Coming out March 19th, 2021, to be directed by a man named Ben Wheatley, who directed a movie called Free Fire. I don't know if you saw that by any chance. I think it might actually be on Amazon to stream, or at least I think it was when I watched it. Pretty cool. I think it's about it's like in like a very contained location. It's got Brie Larson and I think Armie Hammer and a couple other recognizable faces in it. I don't know if it's a drug deal or what, or like an arms deal or something like that, but basically shit goes sideways and they all get kind of stuck in this location, and it basically ends up being like a big firefight, and it's got a lot of kind of whippy, snappy dialogue in it. It was a good movie. I liked it. It's pretty short too.
What's it called?
Free Fire. That's what it's called.
Free Fire. Okay. I'll look into it.
And I don't know what else he's done, but people seem to be pretty excited about him directing the Tomb Raider sequel, which the first one was directed by Roar Uthaug, which I think he had mostly just done foreign films prior to Tomb Raider. And it was kind of just like, okay, well, good for this guy, but I don't know anything about him.
Good for Roar Uthaug.
Yeah, you know, he's a Norwegian film director, and yeah, I think all he had done to that point was Norwegian films, and it was just like, I mean, not to say that they were bad or anything like that. It's just like, what is that? What does that mean? You know? So I think all they've announced is literally just like date, director, and she's back on board, which is good because she was probably the best part of that movie, if I recall.
I don't know. Angelina Jolie's always my go-to. She'll always be my Tomb Raider.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I kind of feel like the Angie version was kind of emblematic of that Lara Croft, like the 90s triangle tits kind of, you know, Tomb Raider, if you know what I'm saying. I think you do. You know, where it was just super overly sexualized and in your face about everything. And then they tried to somewhat scale that back for the reboot one, you know, the Crystal Dynamics reboot, and you know, a more realistic bust size if you want to go in that direction again, you know, and I think Alicia Vikander was intended to be kind of a much more realistic, portrayal of Lara Croft as like, hey, you know, she's a person too, or whatever, you know what I mean? So I feel like
she fucks some people up with bow and arrows. At least I did in the video.
Yeah, you know, she turns into a badass by virtue of necessity and all that, and she's really good at biking in the first 10 minutes or whatever that was. It was like a different movie. Cool. But yeah, you know, I liked her. I like her in general, of course, but I also think that she was good in that role. Like, I think she did a good job of taking that kind of newer depiction of Lara Croft and bringing it into a movie that wasn't great, but it was totally fine, as I recall. I think it was a totally fine movie.
Totally fine, total recall?
Did have totally fine, total recall. I totally recall it being totally fine. That's exactly what I'm going for. So anyway, I mean, I can't add anything on after that. So that's all I got. If you have any other thoughts on Tomb Raider, feel free. Otherwise, we can move on.
We can move on. What else have we got?
I don't know. What else you got?
I got Hayley Atwell is going to be in Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Peggy Carter is coming in as a potential Ethan Hunt Bay. That didn't come out right. Peggy Carter is going to be in fucking Mission Impossible 7. And she's joining Tom Cruise. Which who else would she be joining?
Probably the likes of Rebecca Ferguson, Leggy Bay. Maybe they'll bring back Broker Bay, who was recently in Hobbs and Shaw, and all the other bays that were probably in Mission Impossible at one point. Tandy Newton, scarf around the neck bay. Who else is in these fucking movies? Simon Pegg, maybe. A little Simon Pegg action. Jeremy Renner might come back this time around. Henry Cavill probably will be Sir not appearing in this film, if I had to guess, based on 6. Who was the new director of whatever the IMF? Because Alec Baldwin was also Sir not appearing, and will also probably be Sir not appearing in this film.
This
based
director
on 6,
is that Nick. What's his face?
It's Chris McQuarrie is coming back. He did 5 and 6. He did Rogue Nation and Fallout. He's doing 7 and 8, which are being directed back to back. I don't think that the way this is worded suggests that she's only in the 7th one, but that just could that may not mean anything, like outright. Maybe just because they're filming the 7th one first, and they're like, oh yeah, she's also going to be in the 8th one or whatever at some point.
I feel like Mission Impossible has to be the most successful franchise.
I mean, in what sense?
Just like high
Box
quality
office,
fucking
no.
movies. Just real good fucking movies.
I mean, like 1 pretty good, big dip 2, and then like 3 on. Like it's been arguably progressively better. Like I think I don't know that I would necessarily agree with that statement, but like if nothing else,
there's a statement
very,
to be
very
made
consistently
about the fucking.
good.
There's a statement. Maybe I didn't word it correctly, but there's a statement to be made about the Mission Impossible franchise. Like it's a pretty great franchise. I think
it's one of the most consistently good franchises with one major blip, but that blip came out almost 20
blip had
years ago.
fucking motorcycle choreography, dude.
And like it has its own charm in its own sort of like bad way, Fucking Dougray being pissed at shit. Oh God. That movie's
the fucking
bad.
doves with the face masks. You think I'm me? I'm not me. I'm wearing a face of me, but I'm not me.
Classic Mission Impossible 2.
Shit.
It's really been quite consistent, especially, I mean, I think Ghost Protocol has kind of set the new template for the films, and then Rogue Nation and Fallout, I feel like have kind of followed in that sense. Like 1, 2, and 3 all feel very stylistically distinct, and I think 4 through 6 feel kind of more like a connected trilogy in terms of style and flavor and feel to them. And I feel like 7 and 8 are probably going to be continuing that through line, if I had to guess. And if that through line includes Hayley Atwell, then fuck yes, I'm all aboard.
Why would
She's
you not?
great. Correct. Why would you not? She's amazing. She was great as Peggy.
Peggy Bay.
And I feel like Peggy Bay, is that what we're going for?
I don't know. We don't know her role in Mission Impossible. But so far,
It's true.
What would she be? Spy Bay?
I don't know.
Peggy
Spy
Bay?
Yeah,
I feel like
probably.
Peggy Bay. I feel like Peggy Bay is pretty good. Peggy Bay. Peggy Bay.
I mean, I feel like it's, sure, we can go. It's fine for now, but we may have to change it pending Mission Impossible 7. How's that?
TBD.
TBD. Correct.
Base status
but
is
that's
TBD.
awesome.
All right. Fair enough.
I believe MI7 scheduled to debut July 23rd of 2021. It's about a year and a half ish to wait on that bad boy. But that'll be very exciting. First of 7 and 8. 8 will debut the following year, so that's pretty fucking cool.
That's pretty cool.
In my humble opinion. Was that all the news you had? I think we might have exhausted your news. Is that right?
We have exhausted my news. I believe you have one more news, and then we can finally talk about our main topic.
I have 2 more pieces of news I'm sad to report to both you and to our listeners who are thinking, what the fuck? First one I want to talk about is the Mortal Kombat reboot that's coming, because it's apparently coming. It's directed by Simon McQuoid in his feature film debut, which is always exciting. Produced by James Wan.
Could you imagine?
Could I imagine what?
Could you imagine your feature film debut being fucking Mortal Kombat?
Dude, I'd fucking make my feature film debut as Mortal Kombat. That sounds awesome.
What are you making your pitches on? It's like, yeah, I'll make this, I'll make that. I'll tell you what I'll fucking make. I'll make Mortal Kombat.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
yeah, fuck it, we'll give you Mortal Kombat.
I'd make some Mortal Kombat, man. I think he's done like music videos and commercials and shit. So like he's directed, but not
That's ridiculous.
feature films.
Your first feature
That worries
film
me,
is fucking
honestly.
This is fucking Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, dude, look, I'm looking at his IMDb page. He's got literally 1 fucking credit. Director, 1 credit. Mortal Kombat 2021. That's it. That's all it says on his IMDb. That's awesome.
Like
Good
you're
for this
either
guy.
gonna hit it big, or you're not gonna have a career at all after Mortal
He's done.
Kombat.
He's either going to be the next hot thing in Hollywood, or he's done. One hit wonder. One dud wonder. But anyway, Simon McQuoid, not a great name as a side note. Produced by James Wan, horror guru, Aquaman, directed that as well. Coming out in theaters in 2021. They've cast a fuck ton of people in this. And pretty good casting, I would say, just to offer that up front. Ludi Len is going to be playing Liu Kang. He has starred in, he was the Black Ranger in Power Rangers, the Power Rangers reboot from a few years ago. He was in Aquaman in a very brief role as one of the Atlanteans, and I guess he was in Marco Polo, the Netflix series. So he's playing, Liu Kang, who's basically a Shaolin monk, badass. He's kind of usually the one that saves Earthrealm from the likes of Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn and the like. You know what I'm talking about? Mortal Kombat shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, bro?
I'm on it, dude. Keep that momentum.
Joe Taslim is going to be playing Sub-Zero. Who is a Lin Kuei grandmaster that can freeze his opponents with ice, or he can conjure an ice axe and fucking chop their face off.
Right. Okay.
Or he can take his hand and go right into the back and then just rip your fucking spine out. He can do that too.
Okay.
He did that in the first one.
Who's playing fucking
he's a
Scorpion?
So Joe Taslim is a martial artist and actor. I think I want to say he was in the Raid movies. Maybe I'm making that up. Let me double check. Yeah, he was one of the main guys in the first Raid. And he's done some other stuff.
Yes. Okay.
So cool. Sub-Zero.
Get over here.
He was also in he's the fucking dude in Sunshine, dude.
Is he?
Yeah. He was the dude in Sunshine that wanted to stare at the sun. He was the captain.
Was he?
Hiroki Sanada.
Oh, you're talking about Scorpion. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Scorpion's going to be played by Hiroyuki Sanada.
Fuck yeah. That's cool.
Who was in Westworld Season 2. He was in Shogun World. He was in Endgame. He was the one that fucking Jeremy Renner fought for like a minute in Tokyo.
Who do we have as Raiden? I need to know.
You just going to the good stuff, huh?
Yeah,
we'll get there. fucking pump. You gotta stop that shit, man.
Dude. Talk about it. Just go ahead and talk about it. It's good. It's good.
Does it get you hype?
It does get
me
hype.
All right. Well, let me scroll to Raiden. I had an order that I was going in, but
you go in your own order. I'm pumping myself.
No, we're gonna talk about Raiden. We're gonna talk about it because you want to talk about Raiden so much. You just love him so much. Anyway, this article isn't working anymore. It's fucking one of those stupid slideshow things. God, I hate slideshow things. There we are. Tadanobu Asano is playing Raiden. I think he's a Japanese actor. Typically, I think I only really recognize him from the Thor movies, where he played Hogun, who was one of the Warriors 3.
Yes.
He's going to be playing Raiden, the god of thunder and the protector of Earthrealm.
With that big ass fucking hat, I could totally see
with his fucking hat.
Yes.
Some cool shit. Yeah, very cool.
The fucking lightning god. He does and he has a staff, a quarter staff.
Oh my god! He does a little bit of that. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? That's when he flies across the screen. You can't dodge that shit. You can if you crouch, but
it's gonna be good.
Don't you wish your feature film debut was Mortal Kombat? Be like, all right, we're gonna have Raiden is gonna fucking fly across the screen, string this guy up on a bunch of wires, say some weird shit as you fly. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Just fucking scream some Japanese shit. Oh, Christ, my stomach hurts. Who's playing Jax?
Jax is going to be played by Mikad Brooks, who is Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl.
He looks a little small.
Oh, no, he's pretty ripped. He's a fucking superhero on that shit. He's the Guardian and all. So,
okay, all right, we'll see.
Is he going to have his arms or is he going to have his metal arms? We'll find out.
No, he's got to have a metal arm.
And it doesn't start with the metal arms. He gets them when his arms get ripped off. It's a shitty thing that happens sometimes. We're getting some Sonya Blade. Jessica McNamee is going to be playing her. I don't know anything about her, but she looks like a Sonya type. She's a military decorated special forces officer, so good on her. Kano's going to be in it, with his fucking red metal eye and shit. Leader of the Black Dragon Clan, as portrayed by Josh Lawson. And then I think there's only one or two more castings that have been announced so far. Let's see if this thing will decide to work. All right, here we go. We got Melina. Melina's been cast.
Okay.
CC Stringer is going to be playing her. She's like a clone of Katana, the daughter of Shao Kahn. She's evil Katana. She's the purple lady ninja from Mortal Kombat. Louis Tan, martial artist, is going to be in it as well as question mark, but everyone's assuming that he's going to be playing Kung Lao, who's another Shaolin monk. And then last but not least, Chen Han is going to be playing Shang Tsung, the sorcerer, kind of the big bad, certainly of the first game. And he's kind of pervaded throughout, famously portrayed by Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa in you remember the fucking original like mid-90s Mortal Kombat movie, Paul Anderson one?
Yeah,
that
okay,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, you remember Shang Tsung? Your soul is mine.
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's fucking Shang Tsung. So he's going to be played by a different guy this time around, but anyway.
Cary Fukunaga Tagawa?
Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa was the original Shang Tsung, and they actually brought him back as a DLC character for, I think, Mortal Kombat 11.
That's pretty good.
Actually had his likeness in it, so it was pretty
Christopher Lambert was Lord Raiden.
cool.
How was that guy
Christopher
fucking
Lambert.
Raiden? That guy is not supposed to be Raiden. That's fucked up.
It was
Christopher
fucking
Lambert,
Raiden.
fucking Raiden. That's not right. He shouldn't.
He was a fun Raiden, though.
He shouldn't be.
So. And he has like little fucking sparks that shoot throughout his eyes. You know what I'm saying? That was a good ass movie, wasn't it?
Oh, did you watch it again?
Don't watch the second one. No, that one's
Fucking
real
Johnny
shit.
Cage. Who played Johnny Cage in that one? That one was ridiculous. Lyndon Ashby.
I think was
Yeah.
yeah. He was good. Those are $500 sunglasses, asshole.
Yeah, it's good.
Fucking nut punch. Goro. They had the fucking Goro animatronic.
Nothing will replace it, I don't think. They didn't even bother casting a fucking Goro in the new one, did they?
Well, I'd probably just make him CG. fucking
Get fucking Goro.
2019.
He does a split and punches him in the fucking balls.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
What a good movie.
Forgot about that.
Anyway,
so
last
yeah.
but not least, something that was attached to It Chapter 2, which I assume you saw prior to your movie actually starting, but after the trailer reel, was a little 30-second teaser trailer for a little movie with a long fucking title of Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
I saw that trailer.
You did see it. All right. Just making sure. It's kind of the fake out in the beginning of WBDC clown. Oh no, it's Harley Quinn. She's so tired of these fucking clowns. You know what I'm fucking tired of? DC making shitty movies. Fucking nailed it. Come on. Come on.
No, I totally agree.
It's 30 seconds, and there's not much footage in this. I didn't like any of this, but maybe you did.
No, there's nothing there for me. I don't feel very excited about that.
I can't wait for Ewan McGregor / the Black Mask to not wear a black mask for this entire movie, apparently.
He didn't wear a black mask in this.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you know? So maybe he'll put it on at the end and be like, look at me, I'm the Black Mask now. I don't know. I just...
Doesn't look very
I like
good.
Margot Robbie. I don't love Harley Quinn.
I saw
don't like any-
I saw that she
I
just
don't
got
want
cast as somebody else too, in a DC property. It's like, is she like
I
the
don't know anything about
go-to
that.
female lead for DC properties now? What the fuck is DC doing?
Well, apparently they made Joker, and that turned out pretty well. If the reviews are indication,
I don't
so.
know, man. It's so fucking.
It just seems like when DC tries to do things that are comic booky, like they're off base for some reason or another. Like, I mean, this might be fine. There's very little to go off here. To be fair, nothing about it excites me. The title treatment doesn't excite me. The fact that anyone would agree to this movie being called blah, 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 and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, to me suggests that it's very misguided. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It could be really good, dude.
I don't think it will be. It could be, though. Not to say that it couldn't be. Just don't think it will be.
Fair enough.
Not loving it. I'm just not loving it. That's all. But anyway, if you watch it Chapter 2, I'd say it's a safe bet that you'll see this little teaser attached to it. And good God, it is time to stop talking about the news. It is time to talk about It Chapter 2. Are you ready, my friend? Are you ready to finally get into it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about it.
All right.
Should we bring in a certain someone
Pennywise.
to introduce?
We're going to talk about It Chapter 2.
I don't even know if that's a Pennywise anymore.
Hiya, Georgie.
I always got to start with a little hiya, Georgie, and that. Oh, I mean, I don't have to do it. Obviously, that's Pennywise. Clearly, not me. I don't know why I would say such a silly thing, but
Hiya, Georgie. It Chapter 2.
it was a
Fucking Boston, dude. It's from
It's a
Pennywise, fucking
Boston
Boston. Hiya, Georgie.
Did you see the Red Sox game? Hiya, Georgie. Are you a Red Sox fan?
Where'd you park your car,
Georgie, fuck your car, Georgie. Hi ho, Silver, Georgie.
All right. I think it's official. I think I'm officially retiring Pennywise. I think I have to now.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
Tears in
Chapter
my
2
eyes.
It chapter. Oh, man. Classic. All right. I gotta leave Derry. I gotta forget about things that just happened. Have no recollection of them. Maybe they'll come back eventually. But It Chapter 2 was written by Gary Dauberman, directed by Andy Muschietti, stars a very extensive great cast of Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader, Isaiah Mustafa, Jay Ryan, James Ransone, Andy Bean, Jaden Martell, Sophia Lillis, Finn Wolfhard, Chosen Jacobs, Jeremy Ray Taylor, Jack Dylan Grazer, Wyatt Olaf, and Bill Skarsgård.
Who is from fucking Boston.
I don't think he's from Boston. He is now, though, isn't he?
He is now. He's from Boston with a lazy
To be
eye.
fair, I was trying to do the Tim Curry Pennywise because that's more my shit. The Bill Skarsgård one, I don't know if I can do that. Like, hiya, Georgie. You know, it's a different.
It's a very different thing.
But
it's true.
not a bad thing, though. 27 years after their first encounter with the terrifying Pennywise, the Losers Club have grown up and moved away until a devastating phone call brings them back. Dun, dun, dun. Domestic box office does debut at number 1, as expected, with a $96.5 million take, which is actually... let's do the math on that. It's a little less than $30 million. It's a little less than $30 million less than what the first one made a couple of years ago, which is kind of surprising to me. It's not necessarily surprising for some factors that I'm sure we'll talk about when we talk about the movie, but I really thought this thing was going to break that September record again, but I think it was held back by a couple things. Again, we'll talk about it. But it still did really well. It's the second biggest September opening ever behind It Chapter 1. And worldwide it stands at $190.5 million. And I don't think it had a very big budget. I don't believe. I think it was
Didn't look like it required one.
No, but it definitely seemed like cast at least
That's true.
would command a pretty good sized budget. You know
That's
what I mean?
true. Yeah, for sure.
But I think I read $70 million is around the figure that I read, which is pretty low. I mean, for a horror movie, it's maybe on the upper end of things, but for something
does
that's
have a cast,
it has this sort of cast that has this sort of appeal, it seems like they probably could have spent more money on it if they wanted to. But I feel like they did do a pretty good job of making a pretty nice looking movie out of apparently, relatively less amount of money. Anyway. That's a little bit about It Chapter 2 for you folks, and now we are finally going to talk about the damn movie. Andrew, you saw this last night, is that right?
I did see it last night. I saw it last night, and I saw it in Dolby Cinema.
Okay, very nice.
It was very nice. I thought it was very nice indeed, and... I thought it was really good.
So you liked it.
I liked
You're positive on this.
Okay. Yeah, it's positive experience. I did
you have
watch.
to pee about halfway through?
Well, I had to pee, but I don't like to get up in the middle of a movie, so I'll hold it. But my the power actually went out. It was storming really fucking bad, apparently.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And the power went out right at the end, probably the last 15 minutes of the movie, during a critical spot in the movie. And it's like, well, if I get up and the power immediately comes back on, I'm fucked. So I sit there for like 10 minutes. And then it's like, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and get up. So I went up and I went pee. And I came back. And immediately when I came back and my ass hit the chair.
It was back.
It was back. And it was magnificent. It was like it's perfect timing. It was great. And then the movie was followed by the most intense rain I've ever driven through in my life. I could only see the yellow line on the interstate back home. And when the lightning when lightning struck, the whole windshield went completely white. I could not see anything. It was pretty fucking scary. I've never driven. It was a torrent of rain. It was nuts. But anyways, yeah, that's another thing altogether. But
I feel like the hurricane just waltzed past Florida too. So
it did. I don't know what that rain was because once I passed like the Land Lakes exit, it kind of like it let up and it wasn't bad at all. But I've never driven through such a hard rain on the interstate. It was kind of scary. But I put on some Tool and I made it through and it was okay. And that was that. But either way, I feel like this movie was very well acted. I feel like it was written well. I found it humorous. And I don't want to go as far as to say as it was better than the first one, because I don't know if it was, because I mean, immediately when you watch a sequel, you want to compare it to the first one. At least I do. And
you did watch the first one.
I did.
Pretty much
recently.
right before this one.
Right. Yeah. Over the course of a couple of days.
Day or two before.
I watched it in between flights and stuff, and over the course of a week. It was actually the longest it's taken me to watch a movie ever, but I did watch the first one over the course of several days, and I really enjoyed the first one. It was kind of a, for lack of a better term, it was much more of a Goonies movie for me. It was a Goonies movie with a horror twist, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
This one is not a Goonies movie with a horror twist. This one's more of a much more adult, and that's what's interesting. They're different. They're not. It's not trying to be the same thing. And so I don't want to critique it as such. But this one is much more a. The first one's an adventure movie with a horror twist, which is really cool. This one is much more of a introverted look on like adulthood and what we become as adults and how we handle things that we handled as kids. And I feel like there's a lot of really interesting things to take away from this movie. And it's not as deliberate and in your face as a Goonies movie and adventurous as it is as introverted and looking towards like how you handle your adult life kind of thing. Does it make sense? For lack of a, I don't know how to quite describe it, but they handle the content completely different. It's essentially what it is. It's different content. It's different content, and it's handled differently. And I think it's handled very well. Like I said, it's very well acted. It's well written. It's humorous. The imagery is awesome. It's cool. I like the way that they structure the story around multiple people. They kind of, it's very deliberate in its pacing and how they center everything they center everything around each character, and they kind of, they handle one person at a time, and then they all collectively come together at the end, and it's very deliberate, which I thought was totally fine. And it's a 3-hour movie, but I never felt like it was a 3-hour movie. I enjoyed every second of it, and I thought it was totally okay. So I enjoyed it. So it's a +1 for me. What do you got? I feel like I've been rambling a little bit.
I liked it. I think it was too long. I would disagree on that front. I think it was definitely too long. I liked how it was structured as a movie. I think I'll agree with that, where, you kind of have everyone coming, you kind of have everyone in their separate lives. You bring them back together, then you split them off, and everyone kind of goes on their own journey for a bit, and then everyone comes back together. I think I liked the structure of the second act in terms of how everyone kind of has their own moment to revisit the horrors that lurk within Derry and kind of recapture the experiences of encountering it, as they did 27 years ago. I liked all of that, and I felt like a lot of those individual scenes were good. Some were better than others, I would say, overall. I just kind of felt like on a first time watching it, I didn't mind it so much, although I definitely did have to pee pretty early on in the movie, which didn't help my experience, and that's why I asked you that question earlier. But I held it. Don't worry about it. I feel like it could have been a tighter experience. I think the first movie is definitely a tighter experience.
Definitely.
By virtue of it probably being a little bit simpler in terms of what it has to achieve. This one does a lot of cross-cutting between the kids and the adults. Whereas the first one obviously is just straight up the kids. I think it makes sense to do that because this movie, if it came out exactly the same time, I think it could do it the way the miniseries did, where it's half and half, you know what I mean? And there's really not much to keep cutting back to because you've just seen it within the past couple hours, theoretically.
Yeah, but you go back
here,
3 years.
This is 2 years later, and it's just kind of like, well, you can't expect the audience to just remember everything from the first time. So there's a lot of footage from the first movie, and then there's new footage of the kids as well, which is good. You see kind of a new angle or a new kind of thing. And I think it makes sense to do that. I think the director, Muschietti, has talked about maybe doing like a supercut of the film, of the two films, where it's just like one
That'd be pretty cool
thing. And I think that would be really interesting to see. I think structurally it would probably be closer to what the miniseries did, which I think is technically also structurally closer to what the book did by Stephen King. I guess I didn't mention this is based off of a book by Stephen King. Of course it is. I think most people are aware of that. I think that I think it's just a little too much for what it is. I think that's going to overwhelm certain audience members. I think the third act is going to alienate certain audience members because it's freaky deaky wacky shit that I think is true to the book, but I think that it's not probably the traditional horror
stuff
type things that you'd expect, and I think that you got in the first one, where the first one I don't think quite ever delved into the weirdness of what Stephen King does with a lot of his works. For me, expecting a lot of that going in, I really, really liked the angle that they took with that and how they depicted certain things about it. And I felt like, in general, in spite of my qualms about it being maybe just a little too much and a little too self-indulgent in terms of it's, adapting the material, sometimes maybe perhaps too obedient to things that happen in the book and things I think they probably could have excised for time, which I'll talk about in spoilers. I felt like they did a really good job of capturing the magic of what the story is about and taking the story from where it was in chapter 1 with the kids and then bringing them into the adults and kind of capturing what it would be like to have that sort of terror just re-enter your life after 27 years of basically forgetting it. And I think that it's brilliantly portrayed through all of its cast. And obviously, you got Chastain, McAvoy, and Bill Hader, I think are probably the three big names, in the adults, and they're all great. I think Bill Hader is probably the standout of all the adults, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
And I think, obviously, Barry has shown that the world that Bill Hader's got some serious fucking chops, and I think this does a really good job of it, too, because I think if there's one thing I could say about this is that I enjoyed that it gave certain characters, I think, a little bit more depth than the first one did. I think Richie, in particular, is able to shine. I think they give him more than just, being the funny guy. I think there's more. There's more to his character. There's layers to his character that they kind of show throughout the film and kind of solidify by the end. I think are pretty well handled. Bill's kind of the leader, but I feel like he still is. But it's not like he needed more focus than that character was already given in the first one, and I think Bev got a lot of focus in the first one and continues to here. I think Mike got a little bit more play here, which was nice because he was very underserviced in the first one. And then I think everyone else is kind of relatively on the same foot, except for maybe one. But but yeah, it's I think the cast was really good. I think in terms of likenesses, I mean, shout out to the casting director.
Ridiculous.
Like, it was really, really impressive how close a lot of these people look to their childhood counterparts who they are not related to at all. You know what I mean? I think they really did a good job of finding people that looked like the child actors, but were also just talented people to begin with, and could pull off the role in a way that feels like a grown-up version of these characters. I thought that was really, really well handled. And Bill Skarsgård, the Bostonian himself, continues to just fucking, I think, really, really nail the role of Pennywise. I think the first time I saw Chapter 1, especially with the whole Georgie sequence, it's kind of jarring because I'm so used to Tim Curry in that role, and this was not Tim Curry in that role. It wasn't trying to be. I think that I enjoyed him more here than I did in the first one, at least maybe on the first pass. I think rewatching the first one, I enjoyed him again because I had some time to kind of sit with it. And here, there's a couple I think people have complained about the lack of Pennywise in this film. I didn't really feel that. I felt like when he was there, he was very effective. Get a little bit of in the beginning and then a little kind of just throughout, and just very subtle moments of terror, when he is on screen, that I think work really, really well. And I think that he feels very, I think in terms of like horror icons, he feels otherworldly, you know what I mean? Like, he has this sort of, there's something else there. Like, it's not just a guy dressed up as a clown. There's something deeper that lurks within Pennywise, and I think that adds a layer of horror to him that you don't always get with certain, like horror film icons. I think he brings kind of a next level type performance to that, and really imbuing it with the kind of the scariness that you should have with that type of character. I think a common complaint I've seen is that it's not as scary as the first one. I'm of the opinion the first one wasn't very scary, and I don't mean that in like a pejorative way. I think it's a really good movie. I just didn't find it particularly scary. I think this one has an over-reliance on jump scares. Anytime Pennywise takes a new form, it's a jump scare, is basically what it turns into. It's a very common horror trope. It doesn't do anything for me. Maybe it makes, I don't know if you jumped out of your seat a couple times. I didn't. No. I don't know how.
I jumped out of my seat in the first one more times.
But I still, I think much like how I enjoyed the first one, I enjoyed the imagery more than I enjoyed the fact that I'm like, oh, I'm scared right now. Like I enjoyed the atmosphere of it. I enjoyed the feel of it. Yeah, and I enjoyed kind of what they tried to use to unnerve the protagonists of the film. It wasn't so much about me being terrified because this movie's trying to scare me. It's about the fact that these characters are feeling real terror because of this childhood trauma that's now become resurgent. Like, I really, really like that angle of it, and I think that's why it's effective for me as a film. And again, and not because, it's not to criticize the filmmaking. I don't want to make it sound that way. I think that it's pretty well put together. I think CGI is spotty at times. The de-aging is questionable at best. But other than that, like, it's just,
I thought it was fucking good. I thought it was a fucking good horror movie. And if anything's gonna get me primed for fucking Halloween, this is a very superficial outlook on this. But if anything's gonna get me primed for Halloween, it's gonna be fucking it, man.
That's true. Yeah, I do. I'm feeling it. Yeah, I agree. I'm ready to like fire up some horror stuff. I'm like, is it too early for that? I don't know.
I'm ready to go. Yeah. It could improve in some areas where, like, you have, well, I don't know anywhere in particular.
I just think it could have been tightened. I think as an experience, it could have been tightened. I think it's somewhat held back by tightened. I think it's by the fact that it has to play it safe and make sure that you understand what happened in the first one again. I think that it's hard to hold it against it, but I do think that it makes it longer as a result of beating you over the head with things that happen. I'm like, I just watched it last night, but not everyone did, and that's fine. And I I guess I have some narrative, somewhat grievances with it, which we'll talk about in spoilers. But I felt like I haven't actually read the book, I should say, but I listened to our friends over at Ink to Film did a coverage of it. That was the first series they ever did. And so I kind of experienced the book by virtue of that. So I'm pretty familiar with kind of how things play out in the book. And it seems like this one did a pretty good job of adapting things that happened in the book
that were
pretty fucking out there.
I don't remember a lot of the... There's certain instances we can probably talk about it in spoilers, but there's certain things that happen in the in this movie that I don't remember happening in the first movie. I don't have any experience with the book, but I do have experience with the Tim Curry
miniseries,
movie, right? And the things that happened in this movie did not happen.
Kiss me, fat boy. Beep, beep, Richie.
Beep, 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 Richie. I don't know. They didn't happen in this, or it didn't happen in the previous iteration of the miniseries. So,
okay,
I don't know. We'll talk about it in spoilers.
Yeah, I liked it.
Do you recommend this movie? Do you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I'm comfortable giving it a theater recommendation in spite of any grievances that I've aired. I think it's, especially if you like the first one, I think it's a really good follow up to it. It's a different movie. I think you have to kind of know that walking in. And again, I do think that the third act is going to be a little jarring for some. But even sounds like for someone that doesn't know a whole lot about the book, didn't seem like it seemed to throw you off in any sort of way.
I had Wiki. So I've wikied a lot of shit since...
So you kind of had some vague familiarity walking in, maybe?
Yeah. Like I know
I think it might be a bridge too far for some people, and I think that's something to flag. So just be aware of that. And when it is a 3-hour movie, and that's going to put a lot of people off too. And I think that's probably something that held its box office receipts back, if I had to guess. But I think it reviewed, critically it did a little worse review-wise than the first one did. I think audience-wise it's about the same. So people were clearly liking it certainly well enough. But yeah, I for my personal, 10 cents. 2 cents, however many cents you want to put in. I would say go see this in theaters. I unfortunately did not get a chance to see it in either IMAX or Dolby. I had to see it in an plain old regular theater. And I still enjoyed it. But I do think that this is a movie that could take advantage of a premium format, which is something you could probably attest to more than I can. So yeah, I'll give it a theaters. What about you?
I give it a theaters. See it in the biggest, loudest format possible. I really enjoyed my time in Dolby. It was a I don't know. I just think that the movie is very well made. There's no disputing the fact that it's a well made movie. It's well shot. It's well acted. The audio is top notch. I think it's a well-made movie. So, with that being said, I think that you'd benefit from seeing it in the loudest, biggest format possible. For me, the most convenient was Dolby. I would have caught it in IMAX if it was more convenient, but it wasn't. So I saw it in Dolby, and I honestly felt like I probably benefited from that HDR effect that you get from.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From Dolby, because it's such low light situations and.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. So I think that Dolby was a pretty good way to go. Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. So,
all right. Well, let's dive into spoilers. I think we have some things to talk about. So, full spoilers for It Chapter 2. What did you think about that 2-second weird audio smash cut of Angel of the Morning playing when Eddie gets shit vomited all over him? Did you enjoy that as much as I did?
I laughed my ass off when that happened. It was almost borderline some like you remember in the first one with the fucking when Beverly opens the door up and looks at the back of his door and it's got the posters of the fucking
right. It was absolutely a throwback to that. But I was just like, really? This is the moment that you picked to do that? Okay.
I laughed my ass off. There were blemishes of that throughout the movie though, where they take moments where you think that you would you would have one reaction, but you have another because the audio cues that they put in there. And I felt like that happened a couple times throughout the movie. Not just the vomit time. Which the vomit time was pretty good, but you know what I'm saying?
Do you have any other instances that you can think of?
I
I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to... I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Maybe not musical cues,
Okay.
but just cues that were... one example was... I can't remember the actress that he referenced, but the gay guy in the beginning, talking about
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan, Meg Ryan wants her wig back, and it's like that shouldn't be funny, but then he gets punched in the face, and then it was it's a bad deal. I thought that was very humorous.
So you just mean like tonal kind of shifts?
Tonal shifts, yes, tonal
Okay.
shifts, and
No, I can see that, and I think it works both ways. Like that's like a. Wow, this got fucking super dark really quickly, and I think there was other times where maybe by virtue of Richie or Eddie gets stabbed in the face, and they're all kind of just laughing through that whole sequence for a little bit, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? But it was enjoyable, but it was just kind of just like this could be really dark if you played it a different way.
Yeah, he gets stabbed in the face,
I think
and he
maybe
hides behind the curtain, and then stabs him in the chest. That was another character that was completely crazy. What's his name?
Bowers.
What the fuck? Oh, he's driving the guy driving the fucking Firebird the entire time.
Fucking zombie driving around.
Driving the Firebird. Yeah, that was another thing that was a tonal shift. It was super humorous when when the zombie popped up. He's doing his thing. He's fucking crazy guy getting break out of the prison or whatever, and he's getting driven around by a zombie. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I thought the inclusion of Henry Bowers here was a big mistake.
Oh,
and a giant waste of time.
Hot take.
It's from the book.
Finish the hot take.
It's from the book, and I get why they did it, but they basically killed him in the first movie and then undid it in this one because they wanted to bring the adult character back. I guess mostly to just be a physical foil for the characters, but he's basically still an agent of Pennywise. But it's not really...
He's not real...
I feel like there wasn't enough to that character to justify his inclusion. And also, every time he was on screen, he was goofy as shit.
Yeah.
And the zombie Hockstetter was none of it... it was tonally jarring, but in a bad way for me. And for me, that's a 15 minutes of subplot you could have gotten rid of. And this movie would probably be better at 2.5 hours, I think, personally speaking. So that's probably my biggest complaint, honestly.
Is Bowers
plot is Bowers. I just think that with the way that they framed his character added nothing to the mythos, other than he's crazy and Pennywise drove him crazy, and now he's going to fuck with them.
I'll concede that they added him in there kind of weird, right? So he fell down the well in the first movie.
Right, and it's implied that
he's totally fucking dead.
No body, but
Fuck
he's
him.
probably dead. But now he gets spit out with some other bodies or whatever.
He
and
totally
he's
did
fine.
not need to be spit out. Period.
That's what I mean. I think you could have just kept the first ending. He was he's a bully in the first one. He's an asshole. He got his comeuppance. Just let it be that. I think it could have worked as that. And again, I understand why they brought him back. It's not like they just pulled it out of their ass and are just here's Henry Bowers as an adult. Well, this is a great idea. No, it is that way in the book. But
he also got pinned for all the murders of Pennywise.
Right. I think there's a lot more to his character in the book, which justifies that being the case. I didn't think that they gave enough to his character in the first one to make bringing him back feel like a significant plot development. Again, it just mostly felt like a way to create a non-Pennywise physical threat for the adult Losers Club. Which I get that. Like I said, I think it could be fun. Every time he was on screen, I never felt like there was anything to him, and I didn't feel like even when he went out, there was any sort of real satisfying resolution to anything that he was involved in. I didn't feel that to me personally, so that's my hot take on it. I think in a movie that's already almost 3 hours long, you need to look for things to scale back. That's where I would have started personally.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't know what else I have for spoilers though.
Well, we talked about kind of the beginning, the kind of the homophobic attack. That's straight from the book, and which was also based off of a real life attack as well, which is pretty horrific, obviously.
But it's much more AIDS driven, right? It was in the book. It was. At least that's what I read. It was an AIDS thing.
That would make sense. I don't know that for a fact, but yeah, that would make sense based on the timing of it.
Whereas here it just come off as a homophobic person, which I think the AIDS thing, which would have been much more relevant for the time period, but
right, yeah,
I don't know. I don't have a lot of,
but I felt like it was a good way to show that evil is pervasive in Derry and it is back. Like I thought that to use kind of a scene from the book that took place. I think that took place in. I don't remember exactly. I guess that might have been in the 80s, I guess, when it took place in the book.
Right.
But either way, I felt like that was an effective way to bring Pennywise back onto the scene and have everyone kind of come back as a result of Mike having his basically suspicions confirmed at that point. I think another big thing probably to talk about is 1/7 of the Losers Club in the form of Stanley Uris. So he kills himself pretty much in the beginning of the movie, which is true to the book. Same thing happened in the miniseries. But then there's this weird thing that happens at the end, where he sends a letter to everyone saying, "I killed myself so you guys could defeat it," or something like that.
Bullshit.
Which is, I kind of felt like that was a little disingenuous. Like to me, it felt. Unnecessary at best and gross at worst, I guess. I gotta, I guess, to put it probably in the most favorable terms, it almost felt like they needed a reason to bring Stanley back into the picture to reunite the Losers Club and make them all kind of whole once again. And so, how do we bring Stanley back? He's dead. Let's have him be part of the ultimate plan or whatever. But it's just kind of like, well, when you put it in the context of effectively, in some ways, glorifying suicide, it's kind of just like, that's not a good message to send people, is it? That. So I maybe that's maybe I'm reading into it too much, and maybe I don't know that it was necessarily intended to be that. I don't think it was intended to be that. I just think that kind of feels like not the best way to handle things, and also just not. I just don't know that it's narratively that pressing to do something like that.
I think that they should have played up the horror reasons as to why he would have committed suicide. Like, if you could have had Pennywise tempt him before he killed himself, I think that would have been much more horrifying than him just killing himself because he got a phone call. I think, and I feel like that's kind of how it was in the book, definitely in the miniseries. Like, I don't know about tempting, but basically it's just like he remembers and he's so scared that that's the only thing that he can think of doing is he can't face it again. Yeah,
and I think it highlights the terror of the situation,
right?
But I don't know, and almost feels like, to me at least, just based on my kind of reading on the other things, it's like the fact that the Losers Club can unite, can come together and defeat it ultimately is kind of a strike against what Stanley does, is saying that you could. If you had, if you had stayed alive, you could have brought something, and you could have survived, and you could have beaten back it, and you didn't. It didn't have to come at the cost of your life. Whereas here, it kind of feels like, oh no, I did the right thing.
Right.
My sacrifice justified your victory, and I was just like, okay, maybe not. Anyway, that's just kind of how I felt about it. I just didn't think it was necessary. Again, at best, that's probably my input, is that it's just kind of just like, what does it add? And I think narratively it doesn't add anything to, other than to show that the Losers Club are thinking about Stanley and, kind of at their resolution. So I liked that they brought the ritual of Chud. That was pretty cool from the book, with the Native American kind of ritual to beat back it. That was pretty interesting. I guess let's just, and there's not a whole lot that we need to get into too much. I know we've been running along. I think you might be tired. I think I might be tired too. What did you think about kind of the second act? that was kind of, everyone has their own, everyone splits off, has their own set of scares, etc. Like, were any of those sequences that stood out to you? Did you have like a favorite or anything from that or anything like that?
I like the
Did you like the part where Vicky got eaten under the bleachers?
I did enjoy that one. I did. As morbid as that sounds. You make it sound fucking weird and morbid, but I did.
What about
enjoy
the
part.
fun house where the kid gets chomped in half too?
I did enjoy that one too. I enjoy little kids getting fucked up. I don't know why I enjoy that, but I do. I also
it's because I think most movies don't do that. Like, they shy away from violence against children, which is probably a good thing. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, but I think it here shows that Pennywise
doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't play. He's a bad motherfucker. He will fucking straight up kill children, and we will see that, and we will see the horror of that. So, and we saw it. I mean, Georgie lost his fucking arm, and like within 10 minutes of the first one, they're just like, oh, this is some serious shit. You know what I mean? I think it's used to highlight that. But yeah. Anyway, anything else that
no,
comes to mind
really.
immediately for you?
No.
Nothing immediately. No Paul Bunyan statues coming to life or anything.
That was pretty cool. It was a lot of pretty cool stuff, but I mean, it was all like an 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? Nothing really like
nothing
blew
over
my mind.
Sure. Yeah. I actually feel like probably my favorite thing was the first trailer, basically what we got with Bev going to her old home and talking to the lady.
The way that was handled in the movie was it was the same, but it was different. They showed too much, I think. Like
in the trailer, you mean?
No, in the movie. I thought that
in the movie itself.
Yeah.
Like, showed too much in what sense?
Like the thing that was chasing her looked fucking weird.
Oh, I would agree with that, and I think that's true of a lot of the things, like the naked grandma. Okay, I feel like the leper they used probably one too many times for me. Like, it kind of, and I feel like that's kind of where I was talking about with like the spotty CG. Is it just didn't feel like that to me? Feels like something that could have been realized with prosthetics or animatronics or something, and then they just kind of just went the cheap route and said, let's just CG it all and call it a day. Guess that's the expensive route, actually, but it didn't look totally convincing, I don't think, either. I think that was part of the problem for me. None of it was particularly scary, again, I've already said as much, but I don't know, it kind of felt like it was a jump scare and then a chase sequence, and then someone interrupts, they see another character, and then they turn around and, oh, they're not there anymore. Like, that's kind of the beat, right? You know what I mean? That's kind of the thing. So, they're all fine, though. I didn't think any of them were bad, I guess. But yeah, okay. All right, I just wanted to see if you had any particular key moments that stuck out to you from the second act. So I think maybe the only place to go is the third act, where things get a little crazy in a little massive cavern with Spider Pennywise and the deadlights coming down. All sorts of crazy shit happening there. The ritual of Chud actually gets performed, but it doesn't work so well. And, basically it turns into this whole big thing of basically everyone kind of fighting to survive. And then ultimately learning that the key to defeating your enemy is just to bully them into submission. So they're a little sad little clown man. I'm little dead Pennywise.
Make him feel small.
Yeah, make him feel small. So what'd you think about the third act?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. No doubt about that.
It was okay. I just think it was okay. It didn't.
Did it feel jarring for you? Did it feel like like one of those tonal shifts we talked about, or what?
I just felt like it was. I don't know how to describe it. Like it was.
Well, you just said you don't know how to describe it. So.
Yeah, fucking hiccups. They make it hard. Part 2 of the movie was kind of Pennywise having the upper hand. Part 3, the kids are gonna have the upper hand. I can't talk. I've put myself in a hole. but I don't know how to communicate what I'm trying to communicate. I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Well, are you? I feel like you're changing your stance a little bit. So you don't like the third act, or
I didn't care
for
I didn't care for the third act.
Okay. Was it all the third act? Was it the particular resolution?
I think they kind of dumped the supernatural alternate dimension
that
shit.
feels too left field.
Yeah, they dumped third field on you, whereas it never felt that way from if you look at it from the beginning of the franchise to the end of the franchise, which is just part one and part two. I have these terrible fucking hiccups and I can't talk. But part one and part two of it do not feel like some sort of alternate dimension thing. At the end of you get part three of it too, and all of a sudden the deadlights come from some sort of alternate dimension. They come from a meteor crashing on Earth from billions of years ago. Blah 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 blah. And I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of have a problem with it.
This kind of sounds like you disagree with Stephen King then.
Just the way that it was delivered. I have a problem with the way it was delivered.
I assume it was probably seeded a little bit more naturally into the book, if I had to guess. Again, I think this is kind of what I was saying is that I think that there's probably going to be things about the third act that are going to lose people, is because they're probably going to have a similar reaction of, where did this come from? What's this all about? What the fuck are the deadlights? Why is this guy a spider clown? Well, what is happening here?
Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed reading the wikis for a couple of hours each day to kind of develop my view on the universe that Stephen King has developed. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it felt like one thing all up until the third part of this movie.
I guess. I guess maybe it's just my familiarity, but I didn't find it that jarring in terms of, it's just an attempt to explain how Pennywise has this kind of power. Because otherwise, I guess it's one of those things, it's like sometimes it's scarier if you just leave it unexplained because you maybe don't need to explain it. But at the same time, I feel like they kind of wanted to do it this way to
explain it, which is cool.
Well, to explain it and to give some sort of basis for how they can defeat this sort of evil. So, I guess I liked it. I guess I was kind of weird. I was okay with the weirdness of the third act. I thought when they first did the ritual and it seemed like it kind of was starting to work, and I'm like, boy, I hope that's not it, because that was pretty underwhelming. But then when it kind of devolves from that point on, I think it got pretty interesting. And then I enjoyed that it kind of put them into some different.
I like the alien fucking stabbing Eddie through the fucking body. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the sequence of Bev trapped in the basically the stall, the toilet stall, and Ben basically being suffocated in the clubhouse or whatever. I felt like those visual sequences were really well handled. I also, the one thing that stuck out to me, and this is kind of a shift in a way, but I don't think it's necessarily a tonal thing, but it was when Richie says yippee-ki-yay, and then he gets hit by the deadlights and just stops mid-sentence, just fucking eyes just completely white. I was just like, oh, fuck. I kind of felt like the deadlights weren't really handled that well, though, overall. I think both in 1 and 2, because they don't seem to have any effect on anything, really.
No, they don't.
Any lasting effects on it.
They're supposed to, kill people instantly, and they don't. Yeah,
and I think that kind of so I think in the book what happens is that Stanley is the one that gets hit with the deadlights, and that's partially why he gets so fucked up that he eventually commits suicide when the trauma returns. And I kind of feel like Bev didn't have any sort of lasting effects from her other than the nightmares, I guess, is kind of, I think, what it's implied, is that she seems to have some sort of foresight into the ways that the Losers Club would theoretically die, or did die, as was the case with Stan and I guess Eddie. I kind of felt like they could have done more with that. I think it was cool that they had that and made it such an interesting kind of visual component of the whole third act, but it seemed like they didn't utilize it as well narratively as I think that they could have. So that was something that I wanted to say. I think we're about out of steam, probably, if I had to guess. I think that I liked the Richie subplot with his homosexuality. I thought was pretty well handled overall. I thought that was a nice touch to have in there. The carving of the R+E at the end, I think, really kind of solidified, the messaging there, and for him to have to grapple with that throughout the film as we see in the flashbacks and as we kind of see him as an adult to kind of keep that side of himself hidden, I think really rings true. Certainly, I'm sure rang true for many, many people, in the 80s, and I think still rings true today, where it's certainly more acceptable to be openly gay, but not always, not in every circumstance, unfortunately. So I thought that was kind of a nice way to include that sort of messaging in there, and a good kind of retaliation to the homophobia that we see in the beginning with Adrian Mellon and that character. So that's what I had. I'll give you an open-ended question of: is there anything else that you'd like to talk about on it, Chapter 2?
There's nothing else that I would like to talk about on it.
And how are you doing on the talking front? Are you feeling better on the talking front?
Talking front, period, like as in hiccups.
Yeah, like hiccup free. Mm-hmm. Are you hiccup free yet?
No, I don't know if I'm hiccup free or not, but
okay. All right. Well, cool. So no more thoughts on it. Chapter 2. Very good. Very good. I can ask you about things that you've been up to the past couple of weeks, or I can talk about myself for the past couple of weeks if you want.
I can kind of dump everything I've got on you real quick.
All right.
I actually took
dump
notes.
it. Do it. Let's do it right now. Give it to me.
Let me just log into this computer real quick, and I'll tell you everything I've been up to.
Oh, do you have a list compiled for the listeners? Is that what's going on here?
That's what I've got.
Oh, exciting.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. All right, what is it?
Recently, we have my family's purchased a piece of property in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Right, okay.
So I went kayaking and all sorts of, a number of different things that we've done on that property so far. And it's been pretty fun. It's nice. There's seasons in Blue Ridge, Georgia that we don't have in Florida. Which is, it's nice to experience. I have West Virginia. I recently experienced a death in my family. So I had to go to West Virginia for a funeral. Once again, the property was nice. It was nice to catch up with a family that I haven't caught up with in a long time. And overall, a pleasant experience. Moving. Moved a girlfriend into my home. Getting pretty serious.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It's been a lot of work, but I think we're finally done.
All settled in?
All settled in. It's been a good thing.
Very good.
It Part 1, I watched it in its entirety from before I flew out to West Virginia, the flight, the airports, and everything else. I finally caught it in its entirety. Part 1 at least, in preparation for it Part 2. What else do I got? Mindhunter. I've caught the first 4 or 5 episodes of Mindhunter.
Of the second season.
Of the second season. That's pretty outstanding. I like it a lot.
Okay, cool.
Tool. Caught the new Tool album. First Tool album in 13 years. It's pretty outstanding. I thoroughly enjoy it. There's not a lot of people making music like Tool, so it's cool that you get to hear it. What else do I got?
You have a favorite track yet? Or you need to give it a few more listens?
Oh, I definitely need to give it a few more listens. No doubt. I need to listen to it in its entirety, like a couple times through. But it's definitely Tool makes music that is experienced on an album level. I don't think a lot of people do that anymore. Just like a lot of times it feels like individual tracks. That's not the case with Tool. So
I know that the physical release of it was pretty limited, but I feel like if you could track down a vinyl of it, if they assume they probably released it in vinyl or will, that seems like the kind of thing you put that bad boy in your setup, you just sit on the couch and you listen. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like
it's cool.
I feel like that's what you have to do with Tool.
Yeah, it's cool. So we'll see what happens. I'll see if I can get my hands on one. We'll go from there. And the last thing was games. So I played everything's been on my phone. The majority of things have been on my phone. So Balloons has been on my phone. It's like a tower defense multiplayer game. Some folks in West Virginia showed that game to me, and it's pretty fun. Kind of like it. Teppen, which is the Capcom game.
Yeah, I know you've been playing that. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. And the RPG, the tabletop RPG game. So I've made myself a bard, and we'll see what happens. I haven't played yet, but we'll see what happens. That's as far as I've got. So I've rolled myself a bard.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's all I got so far. What do you got?
I've got a pretty decent sized list myself. It has been some time since we recorded it. I've been up to a handful of things. A couple movies I want to shout out. Dirty Dancing, a classic film. Nobody Puts Baby in a Corner, of course. It's a great film. Rest in peace to Patrick Swayze, who was freaking awesome, super charismatic in that movie. Really enjoy that movie. I also watched the 2015 live-action Cinderella movie, directed by Kenneth Branagh, with Lily James in it, and Richard Madden. It's a charming movie. I think a pretty good remake, definitely. I think one of the finer entries from the Disney live-action front. Enjoyed that. Been a lot of TV on my plate recently. I finished season 1 of Chuck. I started it, I think, maybe a month or so ago and kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. Got back into it, and I pretty much binged like the back half of season 1 in like 3-4 days, because it started to kind of get a little bit more serialized, a little bit more interesting, and a little bit more my shit, and I really enjoyed that. And I haven't started season 2 yet, but I intend to probably pretty soon. 4 episodes, I believe, into Glow season 3 over on Netflix. Enjoying it so far. The gorgeous ladies of wrestling are hanging out in Las Vegas, so it's a fun kind of shift in setting, and it continues to be pretty good. Looking forward to finishing that. 1 episode away from finishing Young Justice Invasion, which is the 2nd season of Young Justice. It's another one I've kind of watched infrequently on and off, but I'm enjoying it so far. Looking forward to finishing it. About 2 or 3 episodes away from finishing The Good Place season 1, which continues to be incredible. I do believe I talked about The Good Place when we talked about Hobbs and Shaw. Highly recommend it. All 3 seasons are on Netflix right now. I'm looking forward to getting through those. New season starts up, I believe, at the end of September, and that airs on NBC, if I'm not mistaken. I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem 3 Houses, which is fucking excellent. I love Fire Emblem. I think you probably know that as much as I do, but maybe our listeners aren't aware. Highly recommend it. I've already put too many hours into it, really, and I'm not even close to being finished with it. And, it's another Fire Emblem game that has multiple routes. So I expect it will entertain me for hours on end, and I will look forward to spending those hours on end. I read a little bit more of Jurassic Park, the Michael Crichton novel. Listened to the first episode that our good buddies at Ink to Film put out about a year ago on the novel, which covered the first part of the book. Enjoyed their coverage of it. Always highly recommend them, inktofilm.com. If anyone has any interest in listening to them, they cover books and then film adaptations. I believe they should have an episode. Probably by the time this comes out, probably we'll have an episode about it, Chapter 2, out as well, if you guys want to hear their thoughts on it. And they did an episode recently on the 90s miniseries as well. And last but not least, you mentioned it already, so I don't feel the need to say too much on it, but Tool's newest album, Fear Inoculum, is a goddamn masterpiece. Anyone that has any sort of interest in Tool in general, obviously, would be doing themselves a disservice to not listen to it. But also, just generally speaking, if you have any interest in metal, progressive metal, the instrumentation on it is impeccable. Every time I listen to the album, I think there's a different member that's like owning this album. Like, oh, this is Danny Carey's album. Oh, this is Adam Jones' album. Oh no, this is Justin Chancellor's album. Like, everyone is bringing their A game to it. 13 years in the making, arguably worth the wait. I mean, it's great. It was worth the wait. I just wish that we had 13 years of Tool content like this to fill the gap. But it's really great. So highly recommend that. And that is my long list. I think relatively condensed to a somewhat short amount of time, and therefore that is the episode. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon, $2 a month gets you early access to all of our regular episodes, along with any future bonus episodes that we have planned / hope to record in the near future. Patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat, or head to our website, www.watchreviewrepeat.com. Bonus episode wise, no real updates on that front. I still have to work my way through the Studio Ghibli movies. We will record that later this month. I'm committing to it right now on the record. And that'll be our next one. And hopefully we'll get it out as soon as possible. It's already a month and a half late. So that's my fault. Sorry, guys. Been busy. And if you want to follow us on Twitter at WRRPod, you can like us on Facebook at Watch Review Repeat. Or just by searching for Watch Review Repeat, rather. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, if you've seen it Chapter 2, if you've seen any other things recently, and you want to have us bring back the Listener's Corner so you can interact with us directly on air in a way, just send that our way to our Gmail account, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Next episode, 2 weeks away, maybe a week and a half, depending on when this actually goes up on our feed. Still, we're gonna adhere to the 2-week schedule, roughly speaking, though. So just be aware of that, be cognizant of that. That puts us in line to talk about probably either Ad Astra with Brad Pitt, or maybe a little Rambo Last Blood action with Sly, or maybe a little bit of both. So we'll have to make an assessment, make a decision on that. And just stay tuned for that. Look forward to our coverage of either or both. That's it for me. Andrew, I think it's only appropriate for you to send our listeners out on this very long episode on It Chapter 2. So it's all yours.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Alrighty then. Laters on the Menge.